What's going on? I am Nando.
And I'm DJ.
And I'm Diggins.
And this is Mostly Nitpicking, a podcast where every week we pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. Woo! Woohoo! Every week is in quotes. Because sometimes you take a week off, and that's what we did, and that's fine.
Maybe the first time ever we've taken a whole week off.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not ever, but, you know.
It helps that we never put, or not never, but we don't put the podcast out on a consistent day. So, nobody knows where to expect a podcast to come from.
They say it's one of the most helpful things you can do for audience retention is to release things randomly and not on any kind of consistent schedule.
Yeah, most people have like a schedule for podcasts. We do drops. We do Mostly Nitpicking podcast drops every week or something. But you got to keep on, you got to keep your eyes to the, or ear to the ground if you want to find out when those drops are.
Yeah. It's the new way.
Yeah, it's what the people want, Like, Supreme isn't any good, right? But people like the drops, so, yeah.
I think we do what we could bear, and that's what's important.
Exactly. And you know what? For me, at least, I listen to maybe, 6 weekly podcasts consistently, right?
Yeah.
And I have a day that's one day, and a day that's the other one, and a day that's the other one. And every so often, we'll show up, and it's a nice little surprise. It's like, we got our Mostly Nitpicking this, Tuesday. So, it's like a little treat.
$5 bill in your pants when you do your laundry. That's us. We're the $5 bills in your pants of podcasts.
We're the 35 cents in your pants when you're doing laundry. Let's be very clear.
Oh, we're going to make a lot of noise, inflation. Rattle around in the thing. That's pretty good. And you guys... We got so much stuff to talk about, obviously, this week.
Oh, my God. So much news that Nando definitely prepped us for.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Well, okay. So there was one news that I wanted to talk about. I was curious if either of you guys had any newses that you want to talk about, because it has been 2 weeks. So I was thinking about a couple of things that have come and gone. But I wanted to talk really quick, not about Twitter, but about Mastodon, because I don't know if you guys saw... But a certain director, James Gunn, is on Mastodon, and he's just posting pictures of random DC characters, which I guess means they're getting movies now. So he's done 2 so far. One, have either of you seen these?
No. I have not yet. I'm an extremely late adopter on technology, typically, so I haven't even looked at Mastodon.
Okay. Same here, man.
So it's these things kind of made it into the so they were on Twitter as well, but first one was Lobo, the bounty hunter.
Oh, I love Lobo.
Yeah, I feel like Lobo fits James Gunn's whole deal.
Yeah.
It's weird because it's supposed to obviously Jason Momoa should be Lobo, but he can't be because he's the Aquaman.
Right.
But also, could he though?
Yeah, that's it's a weird Johnny Storm, Captain America situation, but...
Yeah, or Jimon Hansu,
much different.
Wizard Jimon Hansu Fishman situation.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, honestly, I think it would be kind of funny if they just cast him as Lobo, and no one ever said anything. There wasn't a joke in the movie where it's don't you look like Aquaman? It's just completely uncommented upon that it's just Aquaman, but he's Lobo.
When I saw this news, I was talking... to Hannah, and we were just talking about that idea, and I was thinking this has happened before. On shows, they don't plan for it, but a character meets another character and they're played by the same actor. And I tweeted about this, and the best example we could come up with was when Brandon Routh the Atom met Brandon Routh Superman on one of those Flash crossovers, and they both just get to look at each other for a little bit and go, whoa, look at you, so cool. And then that's it. Or the time all the Pumbas, remember in the Chippendale movie where all the Seth Rogen characters were all your laugh is weird. This is exactly what it was. And that,
Pretty soon Donkey Kong will be there, too.
That's right.
And the sausage from Sausage Party.
I was going to say, yeah. Remember that fucking awful-ass movie?
Making another one.
Yeah.
Is it a movie or a TV show? I thought they were making a TV show.
Yeah,
they're making the TV show, yeah. That movie
Somehow.
It was so, not popular, but it was a thing that people, cared about for a week or so. And it's not, there's some interesting things in it, but it is hard to watch Sausage Party.
Sounds like it's maybe a Mostly Nitpicking
movie. Oh my God.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you guys see, by the way, I haven't watched it yet. You guys watch the Tales of the Jedi thing? Little animation?
No, but I know the big news from it.
Yeah, so do you want to say that? Well, real quick, the James Gunn thing. I was thinking, so the other one that people like is, not people like, that I suggest is Drax. Bautista could play Lobo because he's James Gunn's friend, and he's definitely going to die in the next Guardians movie.
But the hair, he doesn't have the hair for it.
Well,
They
big
got
old wig.
stuff. Yeah, I mean, either way, Lobo has dreadlocks, kind of sometimes. Well, actually, I don't know how I would describe his hair because sometimes it is like a mullet, and sometimes it's dreadlocks. But either way, yeah, you can do a wig.
It'd be a good wig.
Yeah, it'd be a great wig.
Not a bad wig.
They will spare no expense. They will cancel as many Batgirls as they have to buy the best wig possible, offset the wig cost. But the other one is Mr. Terrific was a picture he posted. So
okay,
just name a popular black actor, and that's probably I've seen every single person. John David Washington,
Chadwick Boseman.
well, not that one.
wow,
It's
fucking wow. You're off the pod. You're done.
off the pod, canceled.
Excommunicado.
I will never apologize.
Yeah. Who's the guy that played the the one from Moonlight?
Which one?
Trevante Rhodes. That's another one who I've seen. Like, just it could be anybody. Mr. Terrific.
John Boyega.
Yeah, John Boyega. I've seen him on lists. He's not quite generic as a character, but he is like malleable, I would say. Like you could, a lot of different people could play that role. So maybe they double up again and get Aldous Hodge. Get Hawkman to be Mr. Terrific too. Yeah. He wore a jacket in the trailer of Black Adam, and people were like, "That looks like Mr. Terrific's jacket. Maybe this is a fake out, and he's not Hawkman."
Oh,
I wish they were that creative.
Yeah, they're not that smart.
Yeah, so that's how they're gonna do it. James Gunn's gonna put pictures of people on Mastodon, and that's gonna be announcements for movies. I don't know, maybe the movies will be on Mastodon exclusives. You
Oh
never know
man,
with
that'd be so
HBO.
great.
Yeah,
I guess I have to get on Mastodon.
You really
the
do
new
have to get
Twitter
on
or
Mastodon.
whatever.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I'll get on Mastodon when James Gunn tweets a picture of
No, they're
Ambush
called
Bug.
Pete's on Mastodon, so that makes sense. They're not tweets; they're Pete's.
They're Pete's. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Until he Pete's out an ambush bug, I'm not sold.
I wouldn't be surprised. I could see it. I think he'd have to do. I was thinking of like who's coming next. I do think he'll make an Animal Man thing eventually, and I think once they've done that, it might be like, do we really have space for another, like weird existential guy? But I still think they could do it. Ambush Bug was the bad guy, or not the bad guy, but did you ever watch the Batman Brave and the Bold show?
No, but I know of it.
I watched episodes.
It was great, and parts were great. In the finale, Batmite gets the show canceled because he's mad that it's boring, and he uses his magic to like fuck everything up, including like he gets Aquaman's voice actor replaced by like the voice actor who did the second husband on Married with Children as this thing that's like, that's how you break a show, is you switch one of the actors, like this guy. And Ambush Bug is the one that saves him because he's also watching the show, and he's like, I wish they didn't ruin the show. Batman gets like a cool luge like car and a cool outfit that they can sell toys of. It's a good finale. Speaking of Batman, that's news, right?
Yeah, that was very sad.
Lost one of the Batmen today, or not today.
The best Batman, you could argue.
You could argue, unless you want to do it online, because then it's Ben Affleck, according to the internet. But
right.
According to all
in
of
other
those
circles,
very similar people on Twitter who always respond when I mention it.
yeah. But no, yeah, Kevin Conroy. Imagine though if this was how you heard it was Michael Keaton. It's not. He's fine.
Oh God!
Knock on wood for now. Kevin Conroy is.
He better not die by the time we release this podcast. I swear to God.
You gotta edit it quickly.
The day we release it,
I mean,
someone's listening.
Unless he lives forever, hypothetically.
Die by the time we release this podcast.
That's a good point.
God.
But hypothetically, someone could listen to this podcast in like 50 years.
That's true.
And he might still be alive, but most likely not. Because we're putting it on the golden record with the space, right? We're sending this into space.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I
gonna be
called
pretty good.
NASA. We got it all arranged.
So, yeah. It's very sad, Kevin Conroy. He was cool, but he did
it's a
die.
shame. I mean, he was an incredible Batman. I mean, it's like internet cliche at this point to talk about how great the animated series Batman was, and Kevin Conroy in general was as a voice actor for Batman. But I mean, it's a cliche because it's true. He was really great at just bringing that kind of energy, especially there's a lot of pieces after he died about the duality he brought to Batman versus Bruce Wayne and how that related to his identity as a closeted gay man for a lot of his career. It's just a shame.
Yeah, it's crazy that he's in so many Batman things too. Like, whenever they made a new Batman thing, he would be in it, even if he wasn't as Batman. But then every so often they would go, you know what? Let's do Kevin Conroy for the Arkham games or whatever. Like, they just that's the right person for it.
Yeah. He was Batman for I feel like our generation of Batman fans. Like, he is Batman.
And even because they made that Killing Joke movie, he's in that. The Justice League action cartoon, he's in that as Batman. It's pretty insane.
Big loss.
Yeah.
It's a big loss.
Captain Sunshine from Venture Brothers plays the Superman who's evil there. It's funny. I don't want to give it away. But anyway, yeah. So that was news. It's funny, too, because today or maybe yesterday, David Zaslav, the DC guy, put out a statement that was like, we're getting our act together. There aren't going to be 4 Batmans anymore. And I know what he means. But it also kind of seems like he was we're finally down to the number of Batmans I think is acceptable.
Was there a click after that? It's not going to be 4 Batmans anymore. You know?
Oh, my God.
He's not a good guy. No, I don't know. I mean, he canceled the Batgirl movie, so... What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Well, thankfully he hasn't killed the actress yet.
Not yet. That one has the Michael Keaton one in it, so only time will tell. Diggins, what was your news?
You know what, Nando? It's been so long, I forgot. What was I going to talk about?
You were going to talk about Sonic Frontier?
No,
Game of the Year, Sonic Frontier?
Yeah.
What if Sonic was in a big empty room with a couple of rails to grind on?
Honestly,
fighting a bunch of triangles.
I kind of want to play it, but I haven't.
Interesting is a word. I think interesting is a word.
It will be a fun PlayStation free game of the month for me.
Yes, exactly.
That.
Yeah, give it a year.
Yeah.
It'll be a PS Plus game.
What was Diggins' news? Everybody listen to the podcast. You guys get to enjoy this. Go back in time and figure out what it was. Just imagine we had some thoughts about it.
It was probably really good and cool and interesting.
Yeah, maybe.
Probably.
Yeah.
What was your first piece of news that I riffed off of?
The DC guys. It was like Lobo and Mastodon and James Gunn and Aquaman.
I talk about Ambush Bug,
Mr. Terrific. I think I like that was me being like, and there's just this other thing real quick before we get to Diggins' thing. So I really don't remember.
Oh well.
Oh, I know what it was. I figured it out. It was Star Wars.
What? Oh, yeah, Tales of the Jedi.
Yaddle.
Yes!
Is what you were going to talk about.
Yes, because you asked if we watched Tales of the Jedi. Are we going to edit out that whole us not remembering?
No.
Absolutely
not.
Listening to it right now?
One of our listeners right now is going on a cross-country road trip and
Star
naming
Wars!
every minute of mostly nitpicking they can get. So this is for them, whoever you are.
Anyway, basically, so Tales of the Jedi came out, which is a kind of... It's supposed to be a sort of anthology show about, Clone Wars era stuff, like the CGI Clone Wars show that they made. From what I hear, it's actually really only like 2 plot lines that they jump between kind of haphazardly, and it's a little weird, but not bad. But anyway, only one really important piece of news came out of that show, which is that Yaddle, the other Jedi Master who is a member of Yoda's species, is in it. But we had never heard Yaddle speak before. And she speaks in this show, proving definitively once and for all that Yoda's a nasty little freak.
Yeah.
Because she talks like a normal person.
Yeah. So what happened to Yoda?
Did he have a stroke when he was like 500 maybe?
Right?
Possible. The Jedi Council taught him basic wrong as a joke.
It's possible. Yeah, right? I mean...
So there is like a old canon explanation. I don't think it's been ported into Disney canon yet, but supposedly the old explanation was that Yoda is so old that he learned Galactic Basic when it had a different syntax, and he's just never bothered to learn the new syntax.
Oh.
He should learn that.
Yeah.
It would help his whole thing.
I don't know. I feel like talking like a nasty little freak has become part of his thing, you know? I feel
He's
like
a nasty little freak. It's not a nasty little freak. He's not talking like a freak.
Yoda, listen. You would watch Yoda in Empire Strikes Back and you tell me he ain't a nasty little freak?
Yeah, he wants to eat all those hot dogs or whatever, you know? Stealing things from R2-D2, smacking him with a big old stick, you know? That little sound he makes, the little that's pretty freaky.
Yeah, that's not his syntax. That's just,
Yeah. I don't know. I guess Yoda, my whole thing with Yoda was always like, it's weird because in the first Empire, when you meet Yoda for the first time, he is a weirdo. And then there's that moment where he's like, you're Master Yoda, and he finally drops the facade and then he's smart. And then sometimes he's like the original Yoda in other contexts. You know what I mean? Like sometimes he's just talking to people and it's like, this is the fake Yoda voice he was doing to mess with Luke.
Yeah.
Which I do think means he's just trying to mess with people all the time. He hates.
Well, he's like 900 years old or whatever. I would mess with people constantly if I was that old.
Yeah, you gotta fuck with people.
Absolutely. I haven't watched the Yaddle episode. I kind of want to though because I read yesterday that she has what might be the definitive biggest fumble in the whole Star Wars canon, where she has multiple times to just go tell everybody about Sidious and she doesn't. Which is like people always used to shit on Windu and Hayden Christensen or whatever, but at least they like went to deal with him with a couple of other guys. But she absolutely fumbles it, which is fun. But yeah, you guys. So that's all we got for that. Great news. But instead of that, speaking of things Disney did, speaking of Disney retcon fish people, because that's kind of one of the Kit Fisto is there, right? Anyway, we got to talk about Black Panther : well, is it a colon or is it just Black Panther Wakanda Forever?
I think it is a colon.
You feel like it would be, right? Yeah, it is. So we got to talk about Black Panther : Wakanda Forever.
Yes.
This is the movie of the week, potentially of the year. And we're going to get to all of the things of it. We're going to nitpick it and stuff. But first, boy, do we have a game.
Yeah.
All right. What is
game? It's the IMDb Bees and Spelling Bee.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Mm-hmm. Could you explain a little bit for the fine listeners, DJ?
Yeah, totally. So every week, two of us in the podcast try to guess the IMDb summary for a certain movie. And the loser has to explain the movie. And the way the IMDb summary works is that there are people who work from the site imdb.com, and they go for each movie, they type in what they think the summary is for that IMDb movie to kind of like explain the summary in, 1 to 2 sentences. And then we go up and we look at that summary, and then people try and guess it. And that is the IMDb Bees and Spelling Bee guessing game.
I don't know. That sounds implausible to me.
Yeah, I don't think that's how they do it. I think there's some sort of ritual or something. But I like this explanation. This makes a little bit more sense, honestly. I
feel like I'm simpling it down for the listeners.
Yeah.
I'm really,
So, DJ, do you have the summary in front of you?
Yeah, the actual summary written by the people who work at imdb.com. It's right here. You guys want a hint?
Yeah.
I'll take one.
Keep it basic. Keep it basic.
So not like Yoda messed up speak, like basic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes these do sound like they're in messed up Yoda speak.
That's true.
When it comes to Wakanda. Diggins, I guess as the loser, you get to decide who goes first.
I like to think of it as being the alternative winner.
It's true. I mean, you may have won. We haven't finished the count yet. We got to do another count.
I haven't conceded.
Yeah.
I'm going to go first because I think I got one in my head already.
Okay.
Reeling from the loss of the Black Panther King T'Challa, the nation of Wakanda must contend with a new power rising from the sea.
I like that. I'm going to pick that as my answer. Can I do that? No. I'll do my own. After the not mysterious. I have mysterious, but later. After the death of King T'Challa, the nation of Wakanda... I'm going to go even more basic. The nation of Wakanda has to protect itself from outside foes. How about that?
So wait, what was the entire thing?
After the death of King T'Challa, the nation of Wakanda needs to protect itself from outside foes.
Okay, Nando wins.
Oh!
This is some
wow,
horseshit.
Hell yeah.
No, like, he legit wins. Like, no game, no nothing.
Wow.
All right, and again, ready? This is it. So ready? The people of Wakanda fight to protect their home from intervening world powers as they mourn the death of King T'Challa.
Wow, so it was Yoda. If I'd done it in backwards order,
Yeah,
it
no,
would have worked
yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit better.
Yeah.
Interesting. So no mention of the Namor and all his dudes.
No, none of that. So,
Interesting.
yeah, because Nando said protect their home was kind of a gimme. So
Nice.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Diggins. I don't know what to say.
I'm taking this all the way to the top. The Supreme Court will be hearing about this.
Oh
God.
man, and you're a white male, so they will listen to you.
Yeah.
But I'm suing another white male, so it's really...
Oh, conundrum.
It's impossible to know. Yeah. Well, this is where height comes in, and this might be my Achilles heel.
That's true.
That's true. Yeah.
This is, yeah. So Diggins,
We both have the same education, right? There's so little that separates us.
But-
although I am in a union, so that's probably points against me. So that's yeah.
I'm in a
Yeah,
state
but-
where the votes matter, so that helps me.
Oh man.
They could pander to me.
That's true. I'm a liberal coastal elite from New York City.
That's
so-
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know what I am.
So-
You got to go to a diner to find out what I am. You know? Have a
Well,
real
you're-
honest
you're
conversation about kitchen table issues.
You're in Philly, Nando. You're not from the real heartland of Pennsylvania, so you're just one of those godless commies.
It's fair. And speaking of godless commies, Diggins, as the godless commie who lost, you have to tell us what happened in this movie. So spoilers for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Diggins, while I go refill my Coca-Cola, you describe this movie to us.
Put the real Coke back in it.
It didn't get 30 retweets. It's not going to happen.
Okay, so the movie starts with T'Challa dying from some kind of illness off screen, for entirely understandable reasons. And Shuri is trying to save him by synthesizing the heart-shaped plant, but she can't do it, and then he dies. There's a big funeral. Everyone's very sad about it. And then a year later, so the American government has found a way to detect vibranium. They have a detect vibranium device. And they find some vibranium on the ocean floor and go to get it, but everyone on the drill ship gets killed by water people, including the 2 CIA officers who went to oversee the operation. Very mysterious. Then Namor, the king of these water people.
Excuse me, Diggins? What was that name?
Yeah. Say his name.
That's how Shuri and Rwanda say his name.
Ramonda.
But I guess you want me to say Kukulkan.
Well, to be fair, Letitia Wright, she wouldn't accept the science on his name, so she wasn't, she wouldn't say it the correct way. But it is actually Namor in these movies for some reason. For a reason that makes sense, but very strange.
I thought you wanted me to say Kukulkan.
Oh, no, I love that, though. Wait, say it again?
Kukulkan.
Is it Cool Khan?
Yeah, it's Cool Khan when he says it that one time. I love that.
Guys,
I love that.
It is Kukulkan.
I know, but when he says it, when M'Baku says it in the trailer,
Yeah, it's so fun.
it almost sounds like he's saying Cuckoo Kong. Like Donkey Kong's like crazy cousin who's crazier than Crazy Kong. I don't know who that would even be, but yeah, brings a smile
Anyway,
to my
yes.
face.
Namor, Kukulkan, whatever you want to call him. He shows up, and I was vindicated because I said, isn't Wakanda a landlocked nation? And it is. He comes out of a river.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
They really went out of their way this one to show you all the river stuff as they were going back to Wakanda the
Yeah.
first time. Like, good to know. There's just water everywhere. Although is one of the tribes the river tribe? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think there's a river tribe. We never see them, like, besides just one of them's there at the council meeting. But yeah, not a ton of water, but some water.
It's enough water.
Yeah.
So Namor shows up, and he's like, hey, the Americans have a way to detect vibranium, and I don't like it. All of my people are weird fish people, though, so you go get the scientist, because we can't really do stealth operations. And if you don't, I'll be really mad at you. And then he leaves. So they decide that they will get the scientist, but they're not 100% convinced on cooperating with Namor. So Okoye
No, specifically because Namor's like, I'm going to kill the scientist. And they're like, no, you can't.
He's like, I want to murder this person to protect my home. Because I have vibranium in my home, just like you. And everyone's like, what? I thought the meteor only landed in Wakanda. And Shuri's like, actually, it makes perfect sense that if there was another meteor, it would land in the ocean. And we never talk about it.
Were you there on Meteor Day? Why does everyone feel so confident there's only one meteor?
Also, I'm about to upend your entire religion, which is confirmed, by the way. You have an actual religion with an actual God, and I'm about to upend it.
And I'm an atheist.
Yeah.
I don't believe in the religion.
That's true.
Yeah, why are they so sure about it? And also, I don't know. Anyway, so Shuri and Okoye go to get the scientist, who it turns out is a 19-year-old girl at MIT named Riri Williams. And if you're thinking like, wow, that's a character from the comics, you're right. And if you're thinking, wow, I bet she'll have a really big and important role in this movie, you're wrong.
Bigger than, maybe she should, It's a pretty big role. She's going to crowd out some characters that you kind of figure would have bigger roles.
Yeah, well, maybe they'll do something cool and interesting with her character.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Nah.
Maybe in her show.
Maybe maybe it's just one of those look at this so that when they show up again, they can pretend they introduced her.
Almost certainly.
That's the new rule.
I'm perhaps previewing my feelings about this character specifically, though not the movie in general. Anyway, they go and get her after some back and forth. She says she'll come with them to Wakanda, but then the police show up, and I'm not entirely clear on if they show up because of the Wakandans or they were just generally going to get her so that she could build them another vibranium thing. Because she didn't actually work directly with the U.S. government. She did it for a class project, and it's implied the professor turned it over to the government.
I think they're there because Ross, they were tracking Ross, and they knew to follow the Wakandans.
Possibly.
That's my read on it.
Yeah, that's plausible.
That's your reread on it.
My reread on it. That's right.
Anyway, they have a big chase scene. This 19-year-old girl kills a few cops.
Shuri is BMX rider now. Does cool motorcycle stunts. Because it's pretty easy to hide a stuntman in a motorcycle outfit.
Yep.
Especially if you're wearing a big helmet.
Yep.
And right when it seems like they're getting away, a bunch of water people show up and beat up Okoye and Shuri and are like, we are going to kill the scientist girl. And one of them also kills a bunch of cops.
Yep.
But Shuri is like, hey, I want to go to your water home and talk to your leader. And they're like, all right, that seems fair. So they take her with her. Okoye is like, no, you're kidnapping our princess. But it's too late. So she goes back to Wakanda and she tells the queen and everyone what happened. And the queen is very mad and is like, you don't get to be in the Dora Milaje anymore because you did a bad job.
Choice.
I think totally fair. Shocked she was in it still. I think when Ramonda explains why she's firing her, I'm like, yeah, you should have fired her last movie.
The only part that I was like, well, yeah, I guess you are traitors because you stuck with Killmonger, which you shouldn't have, but...
if you follow the norms, DJ, he had legitimately become king, so... Really, they had no choice but to follow the law because that's what laws are.
That's true.
Well, they switched their mind in the end. So what's that?
Well, then the challenge was still going on because he was not dead. So they were like, "Oh, you're not king yet." That was, although they were just looking for an excuse at that point. So just do it, whatever.
It felt like it. Very much felt like it. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, you're right. They're all extra constitutional actors, and that's why she should have been fired. Not because she stuck with Killmonger, but because she turned on him.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Okoye goes to be sad for most of the rest of the movie. And then we cut back to Shuri and Riri, who are in the underwater kingdom. Shuri has a big conversation with Namor, where he talks about how he wants to destroy the surface world because they're all a bunch of jerks. Specifically, the water people, it turns out, are Yucatec Mayans who took a special plant that turned them into fish people about 500 years ago, I think.
Yeah,
maybe
that sounds right.
I think they said the 16th century, which would make it the 1500s, so 500 years ago,
yeah.
Anyway, they were being forced out of their homes by the Spanish, so they took a plant that turned them into fish people. And then when his mom dies, he comes back up to bury her because she misses the land. And he sees a plantation, a slave plantation in Mexico, and he's like, I don't like this one bit. So he hates the surface world. And then he decided to take the next 400 years planning to do revenge on it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Man, you know who Namor would hate now that I'm thinking about it? Nestle. Between stealing all the water and all the slavery they do, it's
That's true.
Man,
yeah.
they're like his arch enemy. I hope he gets them in the next movie.
I would watch that movie.
Mm-hmm. I'd watch that movie too.
Me too.
That sounds like a valuable movie.
He could even fight the rabbit from the Nesquik bunny. He could fight him. That could be their Black Panther is like some sort of rabbit man with a. I don't know what the Nesquik bunny does, but I remember it exists.
Skateboards.
He drinks chocolate milk.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Anyway, Shuri's like, you raised some good points, Namor, but I think killing everybody on the surface is bad. And he's like, and actually, you know what? I'll give him some credit for this type of a movie where he doesn't immediately fly off the handle. He's just like, I respect your point of view, but I think I can win you over. And just lets her go back. Well, lets her go back to where she's staying. He's still...
lets her remain being a prisoner.
Go to like the ocean foyer or something, whatever that is.
How much of a prisoner is she? She requested to be brought there. You know what I mean?
That's
like
true.
The line between prisoner and guest for her here is a little fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyway, in the meantime, Queen Rwanda, who I hope I'm getting her name right.
Ramonda. I think it's
Rwanda. I was like, Rwanda's the name of a country. They didn't do that, right?
That would be insane, yeah. Although, you never know. You know, back in the 60s when they made her, they could have done something crazy.
Queen Rwanda recruits Nakia, Lupita Nyong'o, T'Challa's ex-girlfriend, to do a clandestine mission to rescue Shuri and Riri, which is a little insane because she's like, you've embedded yourself in enemy places before, and I'm like, this is an underwater kingdom of fish people. I don't think she's going to fit in.
Yeah,
I feel like there's a much better case. I mean, I guess it's like you're not really usually in these movies. Like, you haven't been in the other ones, so like you weren't in Infinity War, so we don't really know what your deal is. But who's the best swimmer? M'Baku seems like a pretty good swimmer. Get him to go get her. He dives one time and is pretty good.
She does a good job. She finds out where they are. She goes and rescues them, but she kills a couple fish people. They're called Talokan, I think.
Yeah, the nation is Talokan. The people are Talokani.
I think it's Talokan. If you use the correct emphasis.
Guys, it's Atlantis.
It's specifically
DJ is
not
wrong.
Atlantis,
I was saying
DJ.
it's Atlantis. No, because it's a sunken city. It's Atlantis.
It's not a sunken city. They built it there.
It's Atlantis.
It's Atlantis.
I've been playing Marvel Snap, and Marvel Snap says Atlantis.
Ooh, that's a good point, and they would know because they're Marvel Snap. That's pretty much
Marvel
the whole comics and movie industry is just to keep Marvel Snap afloat. You know,
Yeah,
give
you're
them
gonna tell me
new
Marvel
characters.
Snap is wrong.
Yeah,
That's so much closer to reality than I'm comfortable with.
I think it is. Yeah, I mean, we're in the middle of the Black Panther season, so you think they would get Black Panther movie details wrong? I don't think so. I don't think so.
So I put Namor in Atlantis, and I win every time. I don't know what you guys are doing.
Anyway,
I'm sorry, Diggins.
So Nakia rescues them, but kills a couple. Namor is mad about it, and so he does a big attack on Wakanda. He floods the capital city and does a big battle, and then he kills Queen Ramonda and almost kills Riri Williams. And Shuri gets very upset about it, and she does some big sciences. Riri makes an Iron Man suit. Again, it's not really important. And Shuri, using genetic information from strands of the Make You Breathe water plant that she got as a gift from Namor, she is able to finally successfully synthesize the heart-shaped herb, and she takes it so that she can be the Black Panther. But she has a big vision quest where she sees Killmonger, where Killmonger's like, you like to do big murders like me. And she's like, no. And he's like, yes. And then she gets up and she's like, I want to do a big murder on Namor. And M'Baku is like, maybe that's not a good idea because his people think he's literally a god. And if we kill him, they'll try to destroy us for the rest of time. And she's like, shut up, M'Baku. You're barely even in this movie.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, he did get punched and he died for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
he didn't die,
died
but
so
he did.
hard. Oh my god!
It's like, shut
My
up,
movie
M'Baku.
theater thought he died.
You're just
I did
coasting
too.
on the charm of your last appearance anyway.
Yeah, facts.
Anyway, they lay a trap they build a new vibranium detecting device that they use to lure Namor and some of the Tolokani to a random spot in the ocean where they have a sonic device that makes them upset. Except
do they build a new vibranium detecting device, or do they just take the old one?
I'm pretty sure the old one was given to them broken, so at the very least they fixed it.
That's true. Yeah. That was like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, that must be where all those fucking gears Riri was fiddling with were in the little trailer, like in her little bit where she makes her Ironheart suit, because there's no way there's big gears in that. Yeah. But then later we see it and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's just the first one again. But yeah.
could be anyway. Yeah, they have a big fight then, the main point of which is to capture Namor aboard a ship that they've turned the heat way up on so that all the water evaporates off his body, because just like in actual Marvel, he's strongest when he's covered in water, and when he's not covered in water, he's still pretty strong, but he's no longer like Hulk strength, which they shout out in the movie. Actually,
they do say that.
When he's wet, he's Hulk strength. I mean, who among us isn't stronger when we're wet? Am I right?
Dedoy.
And I mean, that means M'Baku took a Hulk punch. Yeah, he's dead. That's a ghost or something. I refuse to believe the character survives that punch. It's a hallucination or something.
Anyway, they succeed. Shuri gets him and takes him out to a desert where they have a big fight. Meanwhile, the big fight in the water keeps happening. One of Namora, one of the Tolokani, destroys the sonic device, so the Tolokani are doing better, and they kill a bunch of the Wakandans and blow up their ship. While Shuri starts losing the fight and gets stabbed through the body, but then is like, I'm so mad, I'm gonna win anyway. And she does a big explosion with the jet and defeats Namor and is about to kill him when she remembers her mother, and she sees her mother on the ancestral plane and is like, no, I'm not gonna do a big violence. Yield and I'll let you live and your people can walk away. And he's like, okay. So she takes him back to the battlefield where the Wakandans are losing, and Namor is like, everyone cool it, we're good, never mind. And they do a big peace, and Shuri gets to be queen. But that crafty Namor, when he's questioned about his decision later back in Tolokan, he's like, well, they turned out they were stronger than we thought, but since we've agreed to a peace, they think of us as allies now, and when the world inevitably turns on Wakanda, they'll ask us for help, and we'll get to do our destroy the surface world thing anyway.
He even says, I thought this was weird, he turns to the camera and goes, in Thunderbolts. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, that one. Phase 5, baby.
And that's the end of the movie until the post-credits scene.
Oh my god.
Where Shuri goes to Haiti, where Nakia is, to mourn her mother and her brother. And Nakia shows up with a little boy who it turns out is T'Challa's son.
What? But wait, Diggins. T'Challa never had a son. How old is this boy?
Why, he's six?
Something like that. He's 5 or 6.
I think earlier in the movies, Ramonda says to Nakia, like, you haven't been in Wakanda in 6 years, so I feel like 6.
So, this kid is T'Challa's son.
Is Toussaint, like Toussaint Louverture, the independence hero of Haiti.
Oh,
Haiti's cool.
That's his Haitian name, though.
Get out.
Do you guys know what his Wakandan name is?
Hit me, baby.
Is it Namor? That would be confusing, wouldn't it?
You would think, but no. It's M'Baku.
What is it?
No.
Oh, one of these bits again.
He is the best guy, so it makes sense.
No, it's T'Challa.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
go figure. Yeah,
I don't know.
Cool.
So
that's what we're doing now.
Is that somewhere between the original Black Panther and Infinity War, T'Challa and Nakia boned down.
Yeah, they had some sort of on-screen chemistry romance thing that was never even kind of shown in the first one. And
it was implied.
Sure it was. I mean, it was implied, and the movie told us it was, but I really ended that first movie going, do they even like each other? They don't. They got nothing. But also, do you think the baby was like born and raised during the snap?
I mean, it had to be, right?
Yeah.
I could see the baby have been born in like 2016 and then been snapped, because like it's equally implausible. Neither story makes any sense to me. So,
I mean, it's it's Nakia specifically says that she was around during the snap. She didn't get snapped because she talks about about T'Challa not being there in that time period.
That
so
makes
I would
sense.
think he had to have been raised during the snap, right?
That's the only explanation that makes sense, or it makes slightly more sense than the alternative.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And then what about the second post-credit scene? Just kidding, there is none.
There isn't one.
That's all you get.
I stayed through the end of the credits, Nando. You can't trick me.
Me too.
Someone tipped me off. I was glad I got the tip.
Yeah, I saw it early, and I still read that there wasn't a second one, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't.
You got.
My brain won't let my body leave a movie theater with a Marvel movie before the end of the credits.
I mean, honestly, I just enjoy sitting through the credits of a movie, even if I know there won't be a scene.
And I liked whatever the end music was. I want to say they had some sort of like Namor culture song, Talokani, kind of you know what I'm talking about?
It's
you just
culture.
saw it, so you probably
based
remember.
on Mayan culture. It's not like it's a totally fake Atlantean culture.
Well, maybe they have their own music. Who knows? I don't know. They could. They probably don't. But yeah.
I marvel, lol, at the amount of people that as soon as the movie is over, credits roll, they're just gone. I'm like, guys, we live in a society. Come on.
Yeah.
You know what's up.
I mean, and to be fair, you can just leave if you don't like the movie during it. That's fine too. It's not rude to Black Adam to leave halfway through his movie if you're not really feeling it. But
I gotta say, I don't consider this a bad movie theater experience because it was just one thing and it was kind of funny. But when Ramonda died, somebody behind me went, "Yo, what the fuck?"
Yeah, that's fair.
I like that.
Yeah.
It was good. I appreciated it. But yeah, that's the movie.
That's the
Wow.
movie.
Nando, I believe
Zowie.
as our winner, you get to talk about how you felt about it first.
Yeah. So Wakanda Forever I thought it was pretty good. It's too long, but otherwise it's pretty good. And also, yeah, that's all I got. I don't know. It's fine. There were parts that I liked. I liked Namor a lot. I said this in a video I put out. I personally just do not like Letitia Wright and don't like seeing her in general. So I had a hard time connecting with her story, which was the whole movie. So the parts where she wasn't there with Namor underwater and stuff, big fan. Everything else, I liked it. But again, I was like, oh, could somebody else do this? Black Panther, M'Baku? Do you want to throw your hat in the ring real quick?
You're racist against anti-vaxxers. We know.
I'm racist against British people. That's the thing. I just don't trust them. After what they did, they know what they did. Had a queen.
Nando,
that's what they did.
You're saying that it's a joke. Haha.
I know. I'm
British
trying to
ever
figure
done
out
that
what
would
it
make
is.
someone mad.
I was trying to think of a thing that they cheated at, or some sort of sporting event. And I couldn't think of one. They got cheated, if you ask me.
Oh God.
But yeah, I don't know. I have trouble with this because I do think in general she's good in the movie, but I just dislike her. And I think it wouldn't be as big of a problem if the movie didn't open with her frantically trying to solve a disease problem. And it's you can't completely divorce it. In the same way that I imagine we'll all have to figure out if we can with Evangeline Lilly in 2 months or whenever that movie comes out. But
yeah, it's true.
But yeah. Also, she did an interview recently, and they asked her, did you take the vaccine yet? And she was like, I gotta go. Send questions to my publicist. And then the publicist was like, oh, she's so busy, she can't even answer questions. Which, I had no problem with not taking the vaccine, whatever. But when you start saying, I'm just asking questions, I'm just gonna do my own research. Well, tell us what you did then. Tell us your research 2 years later. You must have some, right? What is it? You're gonna play the science person in the biggest movie franchise on planet Earth. Do a little bit of science. Or don't, but don't, I don't know. I just don't like her.
I was under the impression that she eventually did take the vaccine because Marvel showed up to her house with a big suitcase full of money and was like, we are going to continue shooting now.
See, you would think that, right?
This gun at you.
There was an interview that came out recently, or a piece that they did that I do think was trying to kind of make this image more presentable. And they had a producer of the movie who I don't remember his name, saying oh yeah, I mean, I don't even think this was an issue with her. I don't know why it's such a big deal. But that was the interview where they asked her if she took the vaccine yet, and she refused to answer. So I'm getting sick, and it's a no. Because I do feel like if it was a yes, she'd be psyched to tell us that. But
it's true. Be all over.
Yeah.
Maybe she doesn't want to lose all of her anti-vax followers. Maybe she doesn't want to seem like a sellout.
That's fair. You know, and I can respect it, the realness of it. You know, and like, it's weird, because I get it, you know? Like, I guess she's not African American, but black people in general have, like, you know, skepticism when it comes to vaccines, and then, like, you know, that makes sense to an extent. But the idea of, like, if you guys watched the video that she shared?
No.
I don't watch anti-vaxxer content.
Whenever something like this comes out, I'm always like, well, I gotta, because I don't want to, you know, if it's something where it is somebody, I don't know, really interpreting science wrong or something, and it's just like, well, you know, they tried really hard and they came up with this conclusion incorrectly or whatever, versus like some religious dude saying like the vaccine's going to give you 8 arms, then you know, a little bit less, more differential. It was the second one. Also a lot of anti-trans stuff in that video too, so yeah, overall just not a fan. So everything else in the movie was very good, and yeah, I do think the end, I think it peaks in the Wakanda stuff, like the big Wakanda fight, which is maybe my only problem with it. But otherwise, I don't know, it's pretty good. It's a good movie. Probably the best Phase 4 movie. But I don't think they got super stiff competition. Maybe Shang-Chi, Spider-Man, I don't know.
Shang-Chi's pretty
good. But yeah, Eternals, how do we feel about that 2 years later, a year later? Do we like it? Is it any good?
I feel the same way I did in our pod, basically, which is like, it is a mess and not that good, but I admire its attempts to do something different.
That feels fair. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got. We'll get to the specifics. But yeah, I like Teno Huerta was good. He was my favorite part, and all the Namor stuff was fun. And I like that they put silly little wings on his feet and gave him the pointy ears. Because, come on, Black Adam. He's got pointy ears too, and they didn't even do pointy ears for him. And this movie did pointy ears, so that means it's better. What do you guys have to say about this movie? Diggins?
Well,
yeah, Diggins gets to go.
I get to go next.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, obviously it's a 0 out of 10 because at no point does Namor try to fuck someone's wife.
There it is.
Well, we don't know. I did get flirty vibes between him and Shuri.
Yeah,
but then
she's
I was
not
like,
married. It has to be someone's wife.
We never know. It could have happened off screen, and it's a secret we'll find out at the end of the next one. That she secretly had a husband this whole time. We don't know. It depends.
Well, as for what I thought about the movie, obviously, I'm infamous amongst the mostly nitpicking community for predicting that this movie would be a bomb.
Oh, yeah, that was you. I couldn't remember if it was you or DJ.
I did it. And I don't think it's a bomb. I mean, obviously, it's not a bomb financially. It's doing very well like every Marvel movie ever.
Yeah,
but
even Eternals.
But it's pretty good. It's definitely not up to the standard of the first Black Panther movie, which is one of the best Marvel movies. So in some ways, I guess that's an unfair standard. But on the other hand, it's a direct sequel to that movie. So I think it's entirely fair standard. My big problems with it come from... I don't mind Letitia Wright so much, although I agree that she doesn't really have the magnetism of Chadwick Boseman, and so it's harder for her to carry a movie like this. But it's also, the bigger problems for me are, I feel like there were some Disney-mandated stuff they had to put in this movie that detracts from it and makes it too long and too full of stuff.
You don't say.
For example, Riri Williams, who I alluded to in my summary, never really does anything or matters that much, and feels like she's just there so they can do the Ironheart show.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, spot on.
She's I don't want to use the word MacGuffin completely, but she's like a little human MacGuffin for most of it.
A MacGuffin.
Yes.
I mean, I don't mind her. I don't mind her as a character or her scenes or whatever. They're fine, but they're also just kind of pointless and don't really add anything to the movie. And so I feel every time she was on screen, by the second half of the movie, I was like, "Is this going anywhere?" And the answer was no. Worse than that was a thing I entirely skipped in my recap because of how utterly pointless it is. There's the whole subplot with Martin Freeman's character and Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, where they're doing an investigation, and maybe the U.S. government is going to attack Wakanda because they think they killed all those pigs. And that doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
it
I
only has
disagree. Well, I mean, first of all, we'll find out what happens in Thunderbolts in 2 years, but also...
Well, okay, but I don't like that. I don't like when it's a thing is only there so that it can mean something 2 years from now. But yeah, the only consequence it has is internal, which is Julia Louis-Dreyfus finds out that he's given intelligence to the Wakandans, and she has him arrested. And then at the very end of the movie, Okoye saves him, and I guess he defects.
So I think there's a case that you need. I think it's good that she's there. Well, not good that she's there. I think the movie spends too long with her, but I think it helps to have a world government power go like, we will definitely kill these guys if they don't. Like, I think it helps to make Namor's case a little bit stronger because she's just like, yeah, we want to steal the vibranium and kill them all. We don't give a shit. So that part I liked.
But I feel like we already did that in the beginning with the mercenaries and how France tried to steal some vibranium, it's implied, and everything. I feel like we already got that.
Yeah, I guess by then you kind of, not like forget about it, but it just doesn't feel like quite as big of a deal. Because it's like they got they got it handed to them pretty much.
I don't know.
But Julia Louis-Dreyfus has Florence Pugh and fucking, what's his name? Captain America sucks guy, whatever his name is. John Walker.
Those people who are regular dudes, but they punch good.
Yeah. They're gonna do it. They could solve this problem.
Also, they shoot guns good, some of them. I don't know. I feel like it could have been accomplished with another UN scene or something that isn't Julia Louis-Dreyfus making jokes that feel weird, and Martin Freeman doing nothing. But yeah, so like those parts really took away from the movie for me, and like really kind of made it feel less focused than the first one and less kind of pointed. And also, this is maybe where I dip into controversial waters a little.
You want a White Panther? When's it happening? You know. When's Bucky going to take over like he was prophesized to in one of the post-credit scenes?
Exactly.
The White Wolf returns. Can you imagine if he fell out of the spaceship at the end and was like, I'm king of Wakanda now? I don't know if you saw, but I do have my hand is still stamped from last time I was in Wakanda. I'm able to be here now. That'd be awesome. You didn't know how I would fit into these movies anymore. I wasn't sure either. It's this.
Anyway, so with Namor, like the first Black Panther was a whole thing about the African American experience and the ways in which Wakanda was like hypocritical for abandoning other people of African descent in the world when it had the power and technology to do something about it, etc., etc. And that was a really good theme and like thing for that story because it felt so pointed and specific. And I feel like Namor's indigenous peoples analog is a little too broad to really feel as pointed or work as well as that did. I mean, yes, he's rooted specifically like they are Mayan, they fled Spanish dominion, and then and then he saw all the slavery and plantations, and that's what made him turn against the surface world. But the way that manifests in the movie is just where he's like, I think the surface world is bad, and I want to fight them. And it's like, that's so like broad and not really that rooted in your experience or your culture in the same way that Killmonger was. So Namor is a great villain. Like, I think he's a lot of fun in this movie, and I'm happy that they didn't kill him and he gets to keep being in movies because I really want to see where that plotline goes. But I just think as far as this being a Black Panther movie with that legacy of like Killmonger being such an incredible villain and having such great theming behind him, I feel like Namor and Talokan in general is just a little more watered down than that was, and it feels weaker to me.
But it gets stronger when it's in the water down.
Perhaps. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents about it. Again, it's not like bad. It's just like this feels more allegorical than the very pointed criticisms and hypocrisies of the first movie.
Yeah, I see that. I'm sure there probably exists now. There'll be a lot of think pieces about why it's better or something. But I agree, kind of. It's just, and it's very similar to the Killmonger thing. Like, it's the idea of another ruler coming in and being like, we should be more aggressive. We have vibranium. I guess it's weird, too, because in Black Panther 1, it ends with T'Challa going to the UN and being like, we're going to give out our vibranium and be cool and everyone's going to like us. And now, by now, it's already like, we're not doing that anymore. We've changed our mind, which makes sense. But then the movie's about like, should we though? should we kill everybody or should we not? And it's interesting how it kind of got back to the status that it's at.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the thing about Marvel movies. Ultimately, they're always about defending the status quo.
It's interesting, too, with this movie, because specifically because of the Chadwick Boseman deal, which, like, I think when it comes to, like, being a tribute to Chadwick Boseman, the movie really works. But I do think when it comes to, like, finishing that character's arc and, like, what T'Challa seemed to have made his whole deal, like his new kind of persona after Black Panther, it does feel like a strange step sideways. Like, yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I don't know. It's weird. But it also, I guess I watched this movie because from what I heard, Chadwick Boseman passed away very close to when they were going to start shooting this movie or something like that. And
yeah,
I wonder how much of this movie is more or less the same, but T'Challa is there making decisions that Shuri is making or something like that. And how much of it they completely rewrote to like make different things. Because even like the stuff where Ramonda goes into the, thing and she's like, you're coming after us because we've lost our protector. It's like, I guess, but it's not like you didn't lose all your Dora Milaje. Like, it's, that you could do that plotline with or without Black Panther pretty much the same way, and she just can't say it's because Wakanda doesn't have a protector anymore. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Overall, though, I do like the movie. I think it's a pretty good movie. It's just that by being a direct sequel to a great movie, it inevitably draws these comparisons, which I think don't flatter it.
Yeah. I see what you mean.
What about you, DJ?
What about me? Oh, gosh. I think you guys hit most of the points. I think what I most identify with is the Disney-mandated shoehorns into this movie. I think, though, too, like, I feel like there was a different movie here. So, despite, like, Ryan Coogler's impossible task of having to, like, make a sequel to one of the, like, most beloved movies, and, like...
Oh, yeah. The biggest cultural like thing since probably Avengers 1 in terms of just like this is completely different and this is going to change, big action movies.
Yeah. And then on top of that, your lead star, unfortunately tragically passed away. Like it's impossible. So putting that aside, that this was impossible. I actually thought the start of the movie was very strong. Not just the kind of like how they handle Chadwick Boseman's and T'Challa's death, right? But even to the point of like the storyline of, oh, the world knows about vibranium now, so things are just gonna be shittier because like I don't know, you can't trust these fucking colonizers now that they know that there's like a super weapon in the world to just like let it be. So like, that's going to be really shitty now. And I think there was, like, a good plot line, and it doesn't sustain, and they have to do the whole Namor thing, which, like, I get, but I don't know. I wish they didn't. I wish that wasn't the plot line that had to endure, because it's not great. Like, I think there's a different movie here that doesn't involve a secret underwater society full of blue people. Like, is Disney on a blue people kick? Is that why this had to be a thing?
Yeah, they want to be able to sell the same Legos but different faces.
Yeah. To normalize for Avatar.
But I do think there's something to that, because, like, or I guess, like, now that I'm thinking about it, it does kind of feel like Namor is in a different movie than everybody else, in terms of, like, he's having arguments with people about, like, you shouldn't open up the world and let them have vibranium. And it's like, they said they weren't going to do that, really. Like, in the beginning of the movie, Ramonda's like, you guys are trying to steal all of our stuff and we don't trust you guys anymore. And it's like, it feels like there's a movie where they are giving away the vibranium and Namor shows up and he's like, stop, because then they're going to find me. And, like, we're, that's why we're at war. And in this movie, it almost feels like Namor is still doing that, but the rest of everything doesn't like flow in that direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think one of the biggest things that kills this movie for me is that, like, it's so close to being amazing, but it just kind of falls flat. And I think there's like hanging character threads. I don't know. Like, I didn't love Shuri's storyline, because I never thought she got that like realization of like, I know at the end she like sees her mom and it's like, oh, you know, like killing is bad, but we don't see that realized really. Like to the very end, it just seems like, oh man, maybe she'll just like fucking go scorched earth and like maybe we could have like a whole different thing, but no, everything has to like regress to the mean, which is like fine, I get it, but I just think it makes the movie less interesting. And then also the post-credit scene where it's like, we've cast your replacement.
Yeah, he's gonna time
we don't
travel,
want you in these
and
anymore.
It's John David Washington. Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh no.
There's another blip or whatever.
In the next movie, he goes into the quantum realm, and now he's
Yeah.
older.
Yes,
Suddenly.
exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kang. Kang is going to hit him with a time gun or something, and then he's going to grow up. One of those three things is going to happen. He's going to show up from the future in a little cube or whatever. He's going to go to the quantum realm, or Kang's going to shoot him with the time gun. But
yeah, so I guess that's the problem, is that this movie left me mostly frustrated, unfortunately. Like, I still enjoyed it overall, but there were too many points where I'm like, oh, God, is this still going on? We're doing this? So, yeah. That's where I kind of landed.
it's interesting.
It is interesting.
Because it's like, it's a movie about... It's a movie about two things, right? It's about the death of T'Challa, death of Black Panther, consequences of that, and the the world's coming after the vibranium because it's something that they could find now with like a little submarine thing. And I guess it's interesting because I'm sure there's a lot of ways that those two storylines kind of coalesce, but it does just feel like two movies to me, and two plot lines that are kind of fighting for control. And like you were saying, in the end, when there's that realization that like Shuri sees Ramonda's like, don't kill Namor, and then she sees like a bunch of, I think that's this point, she sees a bunch of like clips of Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther.
Yes.
And it's like...
Cue everyone cry. Yep.
And it's like, it's interesting because it is like a resolution, I guess, but it does kind of feel like, not like it's out of nowhere, I guess, but kind of, I don't know. It's weird too because like this is not the Shuri from the last movie, really. It is kind of a reset on her character in general. And I mean, even in the, like after Ramonda dies, she becomes pretty much a new character.
Yeah.
And that's interesting.
Yeah. No.
Like,
I think it's tough because I think there's so many like emotions that are wrapped up in this movie, obviously, and it's hard to like deal with all of them. But like at the end of the day, this felt less like a movie and more like we're kind of just like moving shit along because we have to. But like also Ryan Coogler is going to make as much of a tribute to Chadwick Boseman as he can. But I think his hands are tied in how much he could do that, except for, like, the things where it's like, we're going to show you clips of them because we know that it'll, like, I don't know, make you feel, like, reminiscent or, you know, I don't want to say good, but, like, maybe you'll have some, like, happy and fond memories, which, like, I am not saying is bad. It's just, like, it's hard to grapple with when, like, there's a movie here that I think, to your point, Nando, isn't, like, the best tribute to... Not even Chadwick Boseman, but, like, the character T'Challa in the MCU, where, like, that suffers.
Yeah, it is just really weird now that I think about it, that, like, besides all the Infinity War shit, where he, like, fucking, you know, killed a bunch of super dogs and stuff, the last big thing he did was open up Wakanda, and then at the end of this movie, Wakanda is closed for business, and the surface world is, like, kind of the enemy, which I get. It makes sense, but it just feels like such a strange place to have his kind of that character's legacy end, I guess.
I mean, I don't even, like, I would have preferred, like, that idea in a movie that realizes it. Like, I don't hate that, like, it's not like Surface World bad, but it's like, it's weird that members of the UN Security Council are being, like, real shitty with this whole, like, vibranium thing, right? It's, like, not great, lol. And like, I'm okay with that as a movie, but then maybe you could like have that be some kind of tribute to like the greatness of Wakanda in some way. You know what I mean? Like that part doesn't get realized, which maybe it could have been. So it's,
on the other hand, the bad UN man is Richard Schiff, so it's impossible to say if he's bad or not.
Well, is that the same guy? Yes, he's the fucking, this is the God of War guy too. I knew I saw him in this game. It's Odin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He's Odin.
Because I told you this on the phone, I think. I was like, it's the guy from
Yes.
Superman, the doctor guy. And it is, yeah.
Yes, he's Odin, yes.
So we can't trust him, because in the comics, in the cartoon, he cloned Supergirl. So he's a bad guy there. And, yeah. And in this, look at him now. And obviously, Odin's a bad guy.
Obviously.
I mean, obviously. It's funny that I think about it that they didn't call Bucky. Just get all hands on deck, you know? What about fucking... call Captain America. You made his suit, right? I think in the end of the last one?
I think so,
yeah.
He'd be super helpful for the big fight. I don't know.
Well, but they can't tell anyone outside of Wakanda about Namor, or else bad things will happen. It doesn't matter if he already invaded and killed the queen. I guess worse things will happen if we tell anyone.
Yeah, right?
Oh, yeah. What happened about that time all the fucking Namorians were in Boston? Nobody snapped a picture of that big explosion?
They didn't see the blue fish people, because the blue fish people killed everyone who saw them, especially all those cops.
It's a city. We'll get to it because it's on the list. But yeah, I don't know. We'll talk more about it. Speaking of the list, I mean wheel. It's a wheel. I'm gonna spin the wheel, you guys. I have 10 things on the wheel.
Oh yeah, love it.
I spun the wheel, you guys. Landed on one of mine. This one I put on the wheel right, like it hit me like
a ton of bricks.
It really was like an oh my god, it did have it. You guys, I don't want to, you know, I think this is true. I'm not positive. I'm pretty sure this movie has Disney's first openly gay character in it. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Finally.
Yeah, they finally have it. So, yeah, this one, and this was maybe the part of the movie that I did think when Ironheart was doing stuff, I was like, man, is Michaela Cole going to do anything in this movie? And the answer is no. But it's like, so we get like a little tiny hint of a relationship, not hint, but like a look at a relationship between these two. Is it Oye? Not Okoye. Ayo? Is that her name?
I don't know any Dora Milaje's name except Okoye.
I'm thinking, okay, so the one from Captain Falcon.
Yes.
Is that the one that's in the relationship with Michaela Cole? Or was it Okoye? I genuinely can't remember.
It's not Okoye.
It's not Okoye.
It's not Okoye.
So it is Oye, yeah, the one from Captain Falcon. Yeah. So at one point we get a little look at her and it's like, oh, that's nice. And it's just interesting.
It's my wife.
We'll never be done. This is the rules. I don't know. It's cool. I mean, it's like, it's funny how little screen time that relationship gets and how much screen time we get finding out if fucking Martin Freeman's, if he's getting some. Because we learn so much day to day about his relationship. First of all, did either of you guys have any hint that they were together from any? I saw it spoiled in a review on the New York Times. Thank you very much, New York Times.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but that those two were together. Interesting choice, I guess.
Well, they are not together. They were together.
Yeah, they were together. Yeah. So that's interesting, I guess.
I mean, I guess conceptually, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but
it's basically just there for that one joke she tells.
Yeah, seriously.
Which one?
When we find out where she's like, drive me to Virginia, and he's like, that's 8 hours. She's like, yeah, well, I could use I did want to take the opportunity to apologize for some of the things I said during our marriage.
Right. And then there was the other joke where he like pretends to be on a phone call with his girlfriend to get her out of the car because she avoids conflict, that Val.
She avoids conflict that doesn't involve destabilizing third world countries.
Yeah.
Damn.
Hey.
I don't know. It is weird that is kind of the central relationship of the movie. There is no other romantic thing that I would say gets more attention than that.
It's not really a real romance heavy movie. It's just that and the 0.7 seconds that the relationship you talked about is on screen for.
Yeah. Was there a second in either of you guys' mind where you're like, is M'Baku Shuri going to happen? What's going on there?
No.
No, that felt more paternal to me than anything.
Yeah.
I thought so too, but then in my head I'm like, but she's like 30, right? I see there's some of these actors where I see them as like a 20-year-old character, but she's like our age, and I think they're probably about the same age. Right? He is.
I don't know. It just didn't. The dynamic of the relationship doesn't seem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with Diggins.
He is 36. She is 29. Interesting.
Yeah.
There's still time. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. First up with gay character, very interesting.
Awesome.
I spun the wheel again, you guys.
Sure.
Landed on one of mine. This is just...
Wait, hold on. Before we move on, am I forgetting? And it's just at the very end, right?
Yes.
Okay.
They have a line in the beginning together, like those two, when they're like talking about the knives Shuri made or something, where you're like, oh, they know each other, but there's no hint of a romance or anything like that.
It's where she's like, I told you shouldn't have brought them. And she's like, well, I thought they're cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just like, I don't know, they're in the Dora Milaje together. They probably know each other. They're at least work friends.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. Also, do you think the Dora Milaje in that thing where the Black Ops guys come to steal them in the vault, we're just waiting in the vault all day?
Yes, absolutely.
It's like playing fucking Marvel Snap on their phones, and then they all got attacked.
Oh,
like,
my God.
Shit, finally. Good. Everybody get scary. Put your faces on. Let's be,
I think it's more awkward for all the scientists who had to sit around while the other Dora Milaje is there in a lab coat and a big kerchief on her head and just do their daily work, having to pretend that there's not some weirdo standing there not doing anything.
Well, I do. Maybe she was like going around and turning knobs and buttons, and then there was another scientist behind her who had to just fix everything she ruined. But like, they had to make it look legit, so she was like, "I'm blending in, right?" And everyone was like, "Yeah, sure," because she has, electricity knives. They're not gonna say no. But
that's just full Hitman stuff. You put on a lab coat and you start turning random knobs, and everyone just thinks you're a scientist.
There's a closet full of other scientists in the somewhere in that. Where was that? Like a research base or something?
Yeah, it was like some kind of like outpost they have in Mali.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess they try to do some development work in other African countries.
Yeah, so they are kind of doing T'Challa stuff, I guess. Being helpful.
It's weird.
Yeah. I spun the wheel again, you guys. Landed on one of mine. Throwaway line here, but I have to bring it up. Because... Speaking of people that got more lines than other people, and I'm not saying Michaela Cole's character is more important than Ironheart. It's just really strange that she's like an actor that people were thinking about might be Storm, and that she kind of got this kind of small role here. Not saying she should be Storm in this, but it's just like, I don't know. It's like, you could have been...
We could have used some, but no.
Oh my God, we already got one in this movie, and it was the first actual one I think we've gotten where it's just matter of fact did it. But no, another character I think got more lines than I would have expected, which was fucking Jarvis Trevor Noah. What is that guy's name? What's
the AI man?
The computer's name? Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever
that guy's name is. Because she says it a couple times. But yeah, there's a lot of Jarvis, but it's Trevor Noah instead. And at one point, Ramonda's like, AI, that's bad, huh? And Shuri says... AI doesn't work like that. It's not going to rebel. That's just the movies. So what fucking universe does this movie take place in then?
I was thinking
Did they all forget?
Right?
Like,
did Ultron not happen anymore?
That line works in the past, like if this happened in 1995 and then that's like a very cute line. But yeah, you guys have one of them. It was a big deal, kind of. He worked with Claw. You guys hate Claw, right? He has vibranium. He's made of vibranium. He should be your least favorite guy that ever lived.
And then there's also like, she not only says that AI won't like go evil and take the world. She says he does whatever I tell him to. That's what AI is. There was a big superhero who was an AI man who didn't have to do what other people told him for even longer than there was an Ultron.
Yeah.
Who is made of vibranium.
That's true. That would be so funny though if we get I would like it if just every phase gets a new AI that turns into a guy. So like this is their machine man or something and it'll be played by Trevor Noah. Because I do think it's bizarre how much that character is in this movie. And its name is, and I'm trying to find it, but it's not in very much. But Griot. Griot? Something like that. I don't know. Well, he helps a lot. He's like
the movie. You go.
He's just like the third lead of this movie.
Yeah.
As the movie goes on, they more and more want Shuri to just be Iron Man.
Yeah, they really do.
I guess that's part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is funny because it's just not even the most Iron Man character in this movie. But they also are like, we got to get her in there. Yeah, you know what? Now that I think about it, it's weird that there's not a scientist character in this movie for her to bounce off of. Like some other Wakandan scientist. It's just...
Isn't that what like Riri was supposed to be?
Yeah.
In theory.
But like, this character's, like Shuri's whole deal is she's Wakanda's best science guy. And we spend this whole movie with her, and we never see or speak to another Wakandan science guy.
Well, they fired all their other science
shoots them all out of the
guys.
room.
It's just her.
Yeah, get out of the room.
Yeah, she sent that email that was like, if you didn't get an email from me, none of you are Wakandan science guys anymore. And
if you're not willing to be hardcore, then you can't be a Wakandan science guy.
It sucks that she did that.
You'll get your 3 months ration of vibranium and you'll get out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's the gift that keeps on giving. But yeah, so they're going to have an Ultron in like 2 movies. It's just this, they'll never learn. The Vision will show up and be like, wait, what? You guys too? No. Yeah. Oh, well. But you guys, I spun the wheel again. Landed on one of Diggins's. This is the Boston pork roast.
Yeah.
What's the story here?
Ooh.
So as I said, like they go to Boston to get Riri Williams after Namor threatens them. But then there's a big police chase because the police are tracking them or trying to arrest Riri or whatever's going on there. Anyway, at one point they're being tracked by a surveillance drone, and Riri shoots it down so that they can't track them anymore. But she also did a bunch of math to calculate exactly that the drone would crash land right in front of the bridge where a bunch of police have gathered so that they can keep going. And when I say crash land, I mean it crashes into a fiery explosion, and this 19-year-old girl absolutely just killed like 5 cops minimum.
Effing crushed it. She effing crushed it.
Yeah. I mean,
how bad would it have been if she just like flies down? No, just like flies down in her Iron Man suit and been like, "You Blue Lives Matter, you're dead."
What's really funny
just
to
fucking
me,
trolls him.
What's really funny to me about this is that she killed those cops. She was evading arrest, and then she flex off to Wakanda as like a fugitive.
Yeah.
And then she just goes back to America at the end. It's not like one of those movies where, you know, Martin Freeman was there and you could be like, oh, I don't know, he pulled some strings and took care of it. They're explicitly not working with the American government on this, and the American government is kind of hostile to them now. And so, like, she's going back to America to life in prison, right?
Every time they find her, she's going to put on her Iron Man suit and fly to another country or something. And
Yeah, right?
keep going. Because, that she's in trouble. She's in a lot of trouble.
Very much so much in trouble.
I guess maybe they could make her a diplomat. Do you think they could, like, give her some sort of Wakandan diplomatic immunity that would transfer to America?
I don't think diplomatic immunity is so expansive that you can murder 5 cops and they'll be like, yep, well, nothing we can do.
Didn't Bolsonaro's guys beat up those protesters or something? I don't know. I feel like you can get away with it once or twice. And then they go do it.
Everybody gets one?
Yeah, everybody gets one.
It's like, this is so stupid. The guy from Love is Blind, his thoughts on abortion.
Exactly like that. Yeah. You can kill cops once if you're going to stop Namor, but that's the only time. It's weird. I didn't like that scene either. So this is the thing where I'm like, so Namor is like, I need you to find me Ironheart. He doesn't say that. He should have. That would have been so funny. Like, wait, what's Ironheart? It doesn't matter. Because he needs you to find me the scientist. They go talk to, what's his name? Everett Ross. Some sort of bug drone or whatever. And he is like, oh, it's Riri Williams, 19-year-old MIT student. And then they go get her. And then immediately Namor's guys show up and just try to kill her. And it's like, that wasn't the deal. You guys did.
You even
but it's
gave
weird.
us a little seashell to blow on. What was that about if you were just going to follow us and kill her?
Yeah, and it's weird because there's also a part of this movie that keeps going on in the background that I kept trying to find and wasn't there. But it's like, when's Atuma going to turn on Namor? When's the more warrior, heavy member of his team going to decide that all the Wakandans need to die anyway? And they never did it, which is fine. But, like, that was how I read that scene. It's like, oh, this is Atuma deciding to do this against Namor's witches. But nah,
No.
I guess they just wanted to.
Apparently he was way on board.
Yeah. And Namora, who is, I guess, I don't know what her deal is. Are they in love?
I don't know. I mean, her
In
name
the comics,
is Namora,
they are sometimes.
which feels weird. That her
It
name
is weird.
Namora.
She's his cousin in the comics, too.
Oh, well, actually, in Under the Water, that's allowed.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't, like, I don't need that much Namora in this movie. Like, I don't need her backstory, too. But
the one thing this movie does not need is more characters.
yeah. Well, I could have dealt with another Atlantean maybe. If we're squeezing something in and taking something out. Yeah, lose Ironheart, lose Everett Ross and fucking Val, and give me another Atlantean's perspective or something, but whatever. We didn't have time.
I'd take that deal.
I liked that they all wore masks. That was good. Do you think Letitia Wright was like,
Yeah.
I gotta get them all? This is not what I signed up for, you guys. Going around
I think the
popping them.
masks were probably mostly CGI, so she watched the movie later and was furious.
Yeah. I do like one thing.
What the fuck is this?
One thing that somebody pointed out with the Ironheart thing. I don't know if you guys caught this. Do you remember what Okoye says to her in the room about, like, when she's like, I'm not coming with you?
I'll give you two options. You can come to Wakanda conscious or unconscious.
Okay, so before that, she's like throwing shit at Okoye, and remember the line that this hits?
Right, okay. They're like, okay, we'll leave. You can deal with the merman with wings on his feet who wants to kill you. I'm sure you'll totally beat him up with your heater.
And then that's what they do. It's very good. Good movie writing.
The movie's good, actually.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
How clever.
That would be funny, though, if they threw the heater at him and they were like, no, we're going to light the whole thing. We're going to use microwaves. And I was like, oh. I just thought I was going to shoot heaters at him with my Iron Man suit. I misread this. What'd you think of her first Iron Man suit?
It's like a fun, right, janky first Iron Man suit that's like, oh, this is fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have enjoyed it being the focus of perhaps the first episode of a television show or something where it got to be about this. I think that would be interesting and fun.
I didn't mind this character in general, but it's very strange that she's here for this. Also, I don't know if this this character's supposed to be 19. When I saw the clips for this, when I saw this actor, Dominique Thorne, I think is her name, in the trailers, I was like, is this character supposed to be like 10? She's 5 feet tall, the actor. Very, very small.
Okay.
And just interesting. I feel like you don't see that often, you know?
Yeah.
People around that height.
Maybe if she gets big and she gets to be a big star, she's gonna get like Tom Cruise shoes and just pretend she's 5'6" the whole time. That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
That's how you have to do it.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're a woman, you're allowed to
rules.
be very short. It's fine. It's only if you're a man that you get self-conscious about it. Because, of course, men who are short are subhuman monsters.
That's true, because Florence Pugh's also pretty short, right? She's 5'4". Yeah.
I mean, that's short.
5 foot's another level. Like, you're knocking on the door of, 4 feet and change. Like,
yeah.
how do you do it?
Iron Man suit, cheaper. There's less metal in it, you know? Doesn't have to be as tall. So maybe that's why she's able to do it. Nobody else is. I do think it's interesting that this character is brought in to be a super genius that can build anything. Mm-hmm. It's like, I thought that was what Shuri was. Why do we have two Shuris now? And not because they're both black women, but just because it's this. It's like, I don't know. It's like in... it's like the two brothers in the Ocean's movies that just bicker at each other. You're like, I think we need one of you, Max. You're just here to be fun.
I mean, yeah, when you think about it, it's like the movie feels like it makes more sense if she comes in and is the science person because Shuri's not a science person. And then there's a reason that she exists and everything. But Shuri's already a science person. So she just stands there while Shuri figures something out and is then like, I'll hold your wrench while you do that.
Yeah. It's nice that she holds a wrench, though. Like, that's handy.
Yeah. You need someone to hold the wrench.
Yeah.
You
can't have an AI robot do that. They might hit you with the wrench.
Well, they would never do that, DJ. That's not something that happens
you tell
in
them
this
not
universe.
to.
Yeah.
Right. Such an idiot. Sorry.
That's why Age of Ultron never... Do you think maybe this is them trying to retcon it so Age of Ultron never happened because no one likes that movie?
See, I think it's one of those movies that people have started to like retroactively. I think they're going to have to.
Do that.
Yeah. So I think part of this comes from, and this is very hard for me to conceptualize, I do think retroactively all of the Marvel projects with Scarlet Witch specifically have become more popular on the internet because the internet loves her. And TikTok specifically loves Scarlet Witch. So I think that the fact that she's in that makes it immediately one of the important ones.
Where did you find out that TikTok loves Scarlet Witch?
TikTok. You can Marvel TikTok. It's there. I don't use it that much, but you'll see it if you go on. You ever,
He says that, but he's using it right now.
No, because here's the thing. I used to use TikTok, and then it locked me out, and it's so bad. TikTok's an awful website and, app, and no one should use it. But like I tried to reset my password and it refuses. So I'm never going to use my TikTok again. But no, I feel like if you go on like Twitter and some Marvel trailer drops for something completely separate, Ant-Man or something, there will be a lot of replies that are like, when's Wanda coming back? They love Wanda. I don't know. It's cool, I guess.
For them, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that might be part of it. I don't know. They already kind of redid fucking Evan Peters. Aaron Taylor Johnson, like that movie really doesn't count that much now that I think about it. Yeah, this is a good movie though. Is it?
Sure.
This one or Age of Ultron?
This one?
Age of Ultron.
No,
it's bad.
I think Age of Ultron has good moments.
Here we go. He's coming around.
I like the
Age of
Hulkbuster
Ultron.
fight. I like the bit where they're having fun trying to lift the hammer. I think it's the last time any of the Avengers were all in the same room together, and I think that's nice.
You know, when you think about it, the political allegory of the prequel trilogy is actually very deep and complex. And, I think it's been really underrated over the years.
I that's a great point, Diggins, and I agree. And speaking of underwater people, speaking of weird old underwater guys, I spun the wheel again and landed on one of mine again. But then this is kind of the whole thing. It's just my question about Talokan.
Yeah.
What did Talokan think the snap was? They must have gotten snapped, right?
They're aware of the outside world, surface world goings on, right?
I don't know.
It's not clear to what extent. They seem to be aware that there are other countries and stuff on the surface, and they knew about Wakanda, right? He knew what Wakanda was. So I guess they keep abreast of world events.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Do you think there's one Talakani who has a phone, that they're just the phone guy and they like do a quick Google when like everyone starts disappearing to just
they have the waterproof iPhone that gets a signal somehow.
Yeah.
It's fucking wires, who knows?
I love the idea of there being like an ancient oracle whose wisdom is consulted on in our most dire moments. And it's just the one guy with a cell phone who Googles stuff.
Yeah, he searches Twitter for the word earthquake every time. He's one of those guys. It's like, I don't think there was an earthquake, but let me just make sure. It was weird because the Talokan, they have like, there's a city that is like the main place with the sun and everything.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of jet streams that you need to take to get there, I guess. Like in Finding Nemo with the big turtle and like on the currents. But then there's also like the holding area thing that is just for story time and like prisoners.
Maybe that's where they got their laptops.
Maybe that's where laptops are, yeah, because then you could probably get a signal.
Lit up by the glowworms.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's that one person that Nakia talks to, and they're like, yeah, there's like monster people or something. I don't know what the fuck's going on. But like, there's someone above the surface has seen these guys.
Yeah.
So maybe it is something where it's like Luca, where like every couple of decades they could completely get found out by a town, and then they just have to like kind of restart. But yeah, you'd figure there would be one civilization or like one surface city that would be like, we found out about it. They decided not to kill us because it would make too big of a scene, but they'd be the ones we would check with if there was a snap or something. But not quite sure that exists.
I mean,
I don't know.
I have a lot of questions about Talokan.
Yeah, well, let's go. Let's throw out. This is the Talokan question hour. Diggins, what do you got?
So we see Namor explains their origin story, which, like I said, is they were a group of Yucatec Mayans who found a plant that makes you breathe water. So they migrated undersea to escape the Spanish. And then when they found out about slavery and plantations, they were like, fuck this then, and fully retreated under the sea. Which is cool. It's a cool origin story. But they seem to be some kind of super advanced Wakanda-esque civilization.
Yes.
And, like, how?
It seems like, and this is kind of the same way they explain it in Wakanda, like in Black Panther 1 with Wakanda. It seems like if I, like, tried to build a bicycle out of vibranium, it would just be a motorcycle. Like, whatever you make out of vibranium is just way better, and it's like 10 steps ahead no matter what. You know what I mean? Like, having vibranium immediately makes your technology like 100 years past wherever we are now.
But it's just like they started 500 years ago. It's not like Wakanda where it was an ancient civilization or whatever, right?
Yeah.
They started with nothing 500. I mean, sure, they had some knowledge because they came from an existing civilization. But they went to the barren undersea surface of the ocean with nothing, found a bunch of vibranium, and now they have this incredibly advanced civilization. it feels weird to me.
And even with Wakanda, where it's like they are a hidden nation, but there is a front that exists where like they have a seat at the UN, and like they're, you know, the T'Chaka was like president and he would go to places and do like stuff. These guys have no guys. So they do, I bet they do all just go swim over to a place and like pop their head out of the water and go, ooh, what's that? Is that a car? All right, let's make our own one of those down here. You know, like
underwater car, go,
yeah.
Cell phone, laptop.
Because I guess they have
AirPods.
They have like the big, you know, they have like a big temple thingy, like a ziggurat, I guess, but I don't know if it's like the same thing. They have a sun. He said, "I made them a sun." What's that?
It's a big.
It's a what's the thing from the moon? It's a megastructure.
Oh shit! It's full of AIs that take over everything.
Oh,
this is what the joke was referencing.
No, in this universe they listen. Come on,
that makes sense.
In this universe, your alarm clock would never wake up one day and decide that it should kill you.
Yeah. Oh, Elon Musk is cool in that movie, too. That's another universe where Elon Musk is revered.
Oh, my God. You're right.
You gotta get rid of those. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with Talokan.
So yeah, he built them a sun. They use glowworms for lights, though, so that's, like, not a lot of technology. Also, like, what powers does the plant give them? Obviously, it gives them gills and makes their skin turn blue.
Namor, they have some healing factor, right?
I guess. I mean, Namor is super strong because he breathes both air and water. The other ones don't.
No, yeah.
I mean,
they need their masks, which they made at some point, I guess.
He's pretty tough even when he's just air, but still. So I guess it does make them kind of tough. Does it give them a healing factor?
Well, it has to, because they all get killed in that one bit and then they turn into zombies and get up. So, like,
yeah,
what's that about?
So, like, this plant also gives you that power, and also they can sing a cool song like sirens and make hypnotize people into jumping into the ocean. Is that right. Technology, or do they just have that superpower?
Well, they have, like, magic, right? That's, like, definitely part of the deal.
Yeah.
They have magic.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's like the Wakandans. They have some magic, too. Kind of.
Well, their magic is just, like, if you eat the plant that gives you super strength, you might get to talk to a dead person.
Sure.
Like,
I guess, I mean, I'm thinking more in the comics. Like, there are, like, priests that do, like, magic that are, like, you know, like Doctor Strange kind of magic in Wakanda specifically.
Oh, sure.
So, like,
but
I guess it's kind of like that.
Where they try to avoid doing that as much as humanly possible.
All the magic is in New Jersey. That's where everybody does magic now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Precisely. But yeah, so it feels weird because it feels like they're kind of trying to go for the full science explanation for all of this, because it's just a plant that gives you superpowers, just like in Wakanda, because it grows in vibranium. But then, like, why do they have singing powers? Why do they have a healing factor? Why is their plant so much better than the Wakanda plant?
Maybe it's just a really bad song that when you hear it makes you want to jump into the ocean and die. Like, in universe. Like, for us, it just sounds like, oh, but for them, it sounds like,
for us, it sounded pretty nice.
This is what's the worst song that's ever existed? The Macarena? I don't know. It's that. That's what it sounds like to all of them. I don't know. Like, yeah, because and the way this is usually explained with, like, Aquaman, and I think Namor is something of the same, is that because they're all underwater, they all are really tough because of the density they would need to be to survive underwater. So, like, when they all go up to air, like Earth, they can punch you across the street. I assume all of the Talakani have that. I don't know if they're, like, quite as bulletproof as, like, Namor, because he's, like, there's that one bit where they're all standing on the shore and a plane comes by and just starts trying to shoot them all, and everybody runs but Namor, because he's like, whatever. But yeah, I would say because of his certain characteristic, he is like twice as good as all of them. Yeah. So this is the first time they've said it in any of the movies. That was cool.
Actually, they said the actual word. Yeah, he says he's a mutant.
Which is weird then, because, like, where did you hear it, Namor? We haven't even come up with that word yet. Yeah. And, like, the idea that it's like, is this
just like a generic, like, mutant, not like I'm a X-Man mutant, just like kind of like a generic, like, I'm a mutant.
Right, like, if anybody on this planet...
No, I understand, but, like, he's using that word as, like, the lowercase m mutant.
It would be like if someone had, like, you know how some people have, like, 6 toes? If we just called those people mutants. And he was like, I'm a
I think
mutant,
we
you
should.
know, wings on my feet, all that stuff. But yeah, it's weird that that's the first mention of this. It's so strange that our mutants are fucking him, the guy from She-Hulk that could jump out a window, the Miss Marvel, and Professor X, but he's dead.
Well, Professor X from another universe, but he's dead.
And yeah, Snapneck's Professor X. And that one news story about Wolverine from She-Hulk. They can all team up and fight Magneto. And I think one of the guys in the support group is also a mutant. I think the Matador is. I'm trying to remember. I don't know.
I thought you meant the support group with the first openly gay character.
The first openly gay character. Yeah. He is also listen, we don't call that mutation, Diggins. That's very wrong and backwards thinking of you.
I'm sorry. I'll have to
In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he's just a Mets fan, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just kidding. Actually, Captain America is the Mets fan. No, wait, he is. Who says that line? I think it is him. Yeah, I've seen that movie like a couple times, but I cannot remember. But yeah,
I can't remember anything from it because it's not very good.
No, it's good. Speaking of whales, they can also kind of command fish, or did they train them?
I don't know. That is also kind of vague because the whales in this movie do some crazy shit.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Is there any other
They
instance
even live
of
under
that?
certain circumstances. Yeah,
He never goes piranhas attack and then they jump out of the water and start eating somebody. It's mostly just
that would be
whales.
fun.
We never see anyone command a fish of any kind. They're using whales just seem to be helpful to them.
Yeah.
For reasons that are mysterious to us. Have they struck an
seems pretty
alliance with the
implied.
whales? Have they trained the whales like horses? Can they literally talk to whales and make them do stuff like Aquaman? We simply don't know.
In the comics, he can, for sure. But also, I don't. Yeah, that definitely didn't come up here. Because it's weird, because it's hard to separate, because you do have the mutant stuff where Namor has wings on his feet and he's super strong. I think that's it, right? Does he have anything else going on besides all the other random Talakani powers?
I think those are the only mutant stuff he has. Everything else he has is because he's an Atlantean.
And I guess pointy ears. That's the other one that I forgot about. But yeah, I don't know.
Indeed.
We need a Disney Plus show for this. House
Someone
of
has
Harkness. Can we
explained
squeeze
it
this
to
into
me.
House of Harkness somehow? These guys also go to that house?
Did he grow his wing back? Because Shuri tore one of them off.
I bet.
It was taped up at the end of the movie, so
Yeah. It's
probably
He's
fine.
going to go underwater and the tape's going to dissolve and it's going to float. I don't know. I guess he's I assume he's not going to have a big scar on his face for the rest of that character's existence. So I bet he's just going to heal it back to be in
healing
better.
factor.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. Is he right now the strongest Earth-based superhero? It's him or Hulk,
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
right?
The new guy always has to be the coolest guy. That always
Yeah.
seems to be the rules.
I mean, Captain Marvel is extremely strong, but I guess she spends most of her time not on Earth.
Yeah, I would count her among the space ones. The only other one I would think of, I think he'd give Vision some trouble. If Vision had his memories and stuff, he could maybe take him. Vision's pretty versatile. But yeah, I don't know. When do you think we're going to see him again?
Namor.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ironheart? Do you think he's going to show up for a little Ironheart cameo?
Oh my god.
probably
Hey!
I'm here to help.
Yeah, you.
Hey,
Yeah,
it's
nice.
me, a Namor.
Oh, if only. If only.
I feel like at the end of this movie, Wakanda continues to keep it a secret that they exist, right? So I feel like no one else in Marvel even knows about them.
Yeah, and that counts even Doctor Strange and stuff, I would assume. So
I mean, if he knew they existed, he never mentioned it before.
well, that's never stopped these movies from never mentioning something before.
Yeah, it's true.
That's fair.
Nick Fury has a Captain Marvel beeper he just refuses to use through all of our world-ending calamities. But I guess yeah, I don't know. There's not the problem with Namor is there's not a lot of crossover outside of Fantastic Four for him that's obvious.
Honestly, I feel like
Yeah.
that might be the next time is when they finally start doing Fantastic Four stuff.
But it also feels like if he shows up for Fantastic Four movie 1, they gotta have at least a little bit of time to do something else. But maybe not.
No, it's just one day while Namor is borrowing the one iPhone in Total Con, he's scrolling through his Twitter feed. He sees the announcement about the Fantastic Four, sees Sue Storm, gets big hearts in his eyes, does like a wolffish whistle, and he's like, my one singular goal in life now is to cuckold this woman's husband.
That'd be good. I mean, they gotta cast her one of these days, and then we'll find out if they've ever been in a movie together or something. The fan art will be extreme. I do think overall I liked him in this, but I think I said this in my video. He's not quite Namor level arrogant. Like, he's honestly too agreeable and like too cool to be quite the Namor I would have buy from the comics.
That's true. One of Namor's prime defining characteristics is that he's a dick.
Yeah, a piece of shit. Arrogant. Yeah. Like, he's the worst. And like, I think at the end of this movie, maybe you could say that's where that character is. Because I definitely think his end of the movie, like when Namora's like, we got fucked, right? And he's like, no, we won. It's good that they beat us. That's what Namor was.
We got some good hits in, though.
Yeah. But all the rest of it, I'm like, yeah, this guy's too cool, too nice. When he's just talking about like how nice Talokan is, and I don't know, just he's cool. I do think we haven't even talked about this, like we've kind of talked about this, but I think the Mesoamerica thing is pretty clever as a way to make this not Jason Momoa Aquaman, like kind of Atlantis.
Yeah, it gives them their own flavor without it seeming like appropriative or being like, this culture, this is just like our ancient Mayan culture for no reason. It's like, okay, they actually are Mayans, so then it's like we get to use like aspects of that culture and signifiers as being like part of this society, but also it's because they are them, so it doesn't feel as weird or gross.
Now remind me, in the movie Atlantis, what is their deal?
Which movie Atlantis?
The cartoon one. The one where they're also some sort of Mesoamerican civilization, right? Isn't that what that is? It's been a while since I've seen it, but I think that's what they are.
They are some kind of like indigenous coded civilization. I don't remember if that's because they literally are or if they're just coded that way.
Okay. I mean, Disney owns the rights, so they could have stolen their own idea. That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, they were. So they did exist above the water in 6800 BC. They get sent underwater.
Oh my god.
I don't know that they're specifically Mesoamerican. I think it's just kind of like vaguely indigenous. You know what I mean?
Okay. I did really appreciate that these guys in Atlantis were playing that game that doesn't make sense on land but makes sense underwater. You know what I'm talking about? It's the one where it's like kick the ball through the circle.
Oh.
It's like, yeah, that's a game you move in 3 dimensions for, not 2. But yeah,
I mean, that's adapted from a real Mesoamerican game that was just a lot harder when they played it.
Well, yeah, like I've seen people try to play that in real life, like when they're like, oh, we played the game, and it seems impossible. I don't know how anybody did it.
That ball's like super heavy. That's the part that doesn't come across when you watch it. It's like a fucking like 10-pound ball or something.
In the fucking cartoon one, they do it with an armadillo, and I'm still like, this seems really tough. But in this, it's like a real, like it's real stone. You know what I'm talking about? What's the cartoon one? Road to El Dorado? Yeah. That was a movie. Yeah. Anyway, I do want to talk real quick because I spun the wheel again. It landed on El Nino Se Namor.
Sin Namor.
Right. This is. Are we in? Is this like what's a territory? Yeah, is this Solo territory or is it cool? I can't decide.
I think it's better than Solo, but I think it's more Solo than cool.
I think you're right.
That's solid. That's solid.
It's so silly for multiple reasons. So to explain, because this wasn't part of our recap.
Yeah.
When they go see the plantation while he's burying his mom, they like burn down the plantation and free all of the indigenous people because slavery is bad, and that's a very reasonable reaction to seeing that.
Slavery is bad.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, some Spanish priest who's watching Kid Namor do all of this, watching him passively, he's like, oh, El Niño Sin Amor, which means the child without love, or the boy without love, if you know. Whatever. I have multiple questions about this. One, how did Namor know Spanish? The
Vibranium.
The Tolokani are always speaking Yucatec Mayan to each other. They have kept that language going. And they fled the Spanish, so presumably they had some contact with them. I guess it's possible they picked up some Spanish, but it's like, I don't know. It feels like you probably wouldn't keep trying to know Spanish over the many years you spent underwater. Because why would you want to know the language of the people who oppressed you and drove you out of your home?
In case you need to come up with a little name.
Yeah.
Then it's handy.
And the second part of it, even going past him knowing Spanish, why would you take the last letter of the second word and then the entire third word, and that's your name?
Yeah, why isn't he Sinamor?
Sinamor, or...
Sinamor, yeah.
Sinamor would make some sense. He's like, the boy without love. He's like, yes, without love, that's me.
I'm not a boy anymore, I'm a man. Like, yeah. But, yeah, I don't know.
He even says it a little different, because he's like, Namor, and it's like, El Niño Sinamor. It's like, it's not... You don't say it that way, really. In what way did he derive the name Namor from this priest saying these words? And also, who are you telling to call you that? All the underwater people call you Kukulkan because they think you're their god or whatever. And so, like, and you don't like above water people and you never see them. Have you just been hanging on for the past, like, 450 years? Like, if I ever meet a surface person, I'm going to tell them to call me Namor. Yeah, it's going to be sick.
And then his girlfriend's
really
like, and I'll be Namora. And he's like, I don't give a shit what you call yourself. This is just a me thing. I don't understand why you're globbing onto my thing, but whatever.
So is she named after him?
She has to be,
also,
right? Or is there a way that can be a word too? Like, is there some other Spanish phrase that kind of ends with Namora?
Namora? I don't know. I don't know offhand. I don't know that much Spanish.
Or maybe that was her name, and then that's always been her name, and then Namor happens, and he's like, you guys have this sick name. And she's always had a grudge because he stole her name. But
could be.
He thinks he came up with it himself.
Also, other thing. So he says he's very long-lived because of his mutant powers from the way he was born, right? So does that mean that all the other Tolokani, like, have normal human lifespans?
I don't
I guess
know.
his, like, mutant ability gives him his long life, right?
His mom died a normal death, and he was only a little boy when she died. Assuming he has super long life, that makes more or less sense.
Yeah, but his mom was an surface person who took the plant and then went underwater. Yes. I wonder if a person born of just underwater, like a second generation, would live forever, or, you know, for 1,000 years or whatever. But that first generation all died. I don't know.
On the other hand, it would make a lot of sense to me that they would think of him as like a god if it's like for the past like 20 generations. Everyone has just been like Namor's just been like around, and you are born, grow up, and die, and he's always just there, and he keeps being there all this time. Like that I would be like, this guy's pretty important if I were them at that point. But if everyone's just living super long, eventually I'd be like, why does he get to boss us around? Because he's got little wings on his feet. We're underwater. Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, it is funny because I think he explains it as like he's the first Atlantean, right? He's like the first person born of someone who took the, like, whatever it is, heart-shaped herb too.
Because his mom was the only pregnant one when they went underwater, so it stands to reason that he would be the first one born underwater.
So he did really just put his flag down and be like, I'm in charge of underwater, and everybody had to go with it. He was the first one.
Yeah, it does seem like that.
Yeah, he's the immortal God Emperor.
Yeah. Wait, so the Eternals don't even know about him?
I mean, they didn't say anything about him.
Wait, what about that time, what's his name, Druig was in Mesoamerica? He had the conquistadors all shoot each other. Was this that same day? Like the plantation was burning on the other side of town, and nobody knew?
When you think about it, it's really funny that the MCU had so many people who saw the Spanish treatment of indigenous people in Mesoamerica and was like, this is wrong. And yet everything still happened the way it did in real life.
Yeah, Druig sucks. That's what we should take from that scene.
That is pretty nuts.
I mean, I'll give Namor and the Tolokanis this, where it's like they're not like, our plan is to stop this. They were like, this sucks. We're going back underwater. Yeah. Druig is the one who's like, I'm going to use my superpowers to stop this, and then just doesn't.
They tell him no, and then he's like, oh, fine, but I'm not hanging out with you guys anymore. I'm going to go be Joker, kind of. I'm going to fucking waste a whole lot of time. That movie. Also, one other thing about the Talokan, like we said, they have this singing superpower / magic, whatever it is. They have command over or some sort of relationship with whales or whatever. They also have little water balloons. Now, what are those? What's the deal with those?
They seem to be like little things full of water that you activate like a grenade, and they just like explode that water out like it's super high pressure out of a fire hose or something.
Mm-hmm. So, like, I thought that was funny when they started throwing those at everybody in the big fight, and they were just, like, explosions. And then when they got to the second big fight, they didn't have one big one. They had a bag of little ones that they brought with them.
Yeah.
Wait, do you only have these? This is the only weapon you guys have ever created? It's good, but it doesn't seem like it's that good.
That and the whole, like, what do they have? Like little spears?
Spears? So his is a spear. I feel like Namor is more of a harpoon when we see it used the first time. And like Atuma's got a fucking skeleton of a hammerhead shark on his head too. He's got like armor. Again, this character the movie could not give less of a shit about him.
Namor's throne being like within the jawbone of a big shark, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's pretty cool.
I liked pretty much everything about Namor and Talokani as like from a design perspective. I like Nomura's feather head arrangement, whatever we're calling that. I liked his big old thing that he wore when he was yelling at everybody during his speech. I liked all their outfits. I liked his nose things, the earrings, all great. I do wish it was a Speedo and not the little hot pants, but maybe they're working their way up to that, you know? Because that's the only thing about Namor that I can say. But I am glad they did this and not like one of his full-body disco costumes that he wears sometimes. Because I don't think those work.
If it's not Suns Out, Guns Out, then it's not Namor.
Yeah, for sure. Did you, by the way, when this started, when the first image of him came out, did you guys see when they had that Marvel writer or artist or whatever who was like, I'm more jacked than Namor, and took a picture of himself butt naked from behind with all his muscles? Do you remember that?
No.
It was super funny. Yeah. Oh, God. Marvel writer jacked Namor. Let's see if this comes up. Yep, I found it.
Wow, really?
Yep.
Super easy, barely an inconvenience.
I'm gonna. It really was. I'll put it in the chat, but so you guys can look it over. There's not that much more to it, besides I was just like, I'm more buff than Namor. What else? Okay, spin the wheel again. Landed on one of mine. We're way further into the movie now, because we're at the Siege of Wakanda, the first one. And I just have I don't know, not like a message, but like a thought that crossed my mind that I feel like probably crossed all of everyone's minds. Hey, Namor, kill the girl now. What? Why does he quit war at the middle of it? Didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's like, hey, that was my warning shot, so you know we're really powerful. So listen to my demands, and I won't do the killing blow.
Yeah.
You know, to be fair, when has Talokan last been to war? Like, they're not a warring nation. They don't know what to do, so it's a lot of bluster, but ultimately...
or they're trying to make the most of it. They're like, shit, we won in like 5 minutes. Let's make another war happen. We might not get another one of these for a while until Dr. Doom shows up or something.
Yeah, that was really unsatisfying, guys. Come on. We got give him a better chance than this. I mean... I guess the idea was him being like, I would still rather work with you because you guys have a lot of cool tech like we do. So I'm going to give you one more chance. But it's like, dude, you just killed her mom. I don't think that she's going to decide that she's going to work with you now. And if she does, it's probably not going to be in a way that you like.
Yeah. I feel like by that point in the movie, maybe Namor had been like, I don't even care about the girl anymore. We've passed that. I'm killing everybody I see. But
although I guess when he left, are you talking about Riri here?
Yeah, when he kills Ramonda and leaves before killing Riri, who was his like goal.
Right. I think I feel like they don't resuscitate Riri until after he leaves. So maybe he thought he did kill her.
Namor.
Oh, maybe.
This guy never watched any of the movies, any of the Zombie Lands or anything like that. Of course.
They don't get movies underwater, Nando. Come on.
They do on Vibranium. If you like make a little picture, it turns into a movie because it's just better technology.
Right. Well, but they have their own movies that they make. But in all the Tolokani movies, every time you like beat up somebody or seemingly kill them and they're laying there, they are dead and they never come back.
See, that's funny because when you kill Tolokani people, they do come back. So if anything, maybe he was just like, it won't even work if I try to kill her. That's not how people work. He just never
because
learned.
That's the fantasy for them. Like for us, the fantasy is that you could survive extreme circumstances. They can, so they're like, a person who just dies the first time you stab them? That's crazy.
What'd you guys think of the Siege of Wakanda?
That was cool.
For a second, I was like, is this the end of the movie? And then I was like, it can't be. And I was right.
Right?
The second time.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it was a bit of a mind fuck that way, yeah.
When Namor starts getting close to the thing and, like, close to the big city, like, I don't know, that central tower where Ramonda is, I'm like, sure, you gotta get your fucking Black Panther suit now. Time is ticking. The movie's almost over. And then they kept going. But I loved how he zips around and flips and flops and stuff in midair. I thought that was very cool. Like the sound his little feet make. I'm upset that he killed M'Baku in that scene.
Yeah, some bullshit.
I did like that M'Baku saw him and was like, oh, sick. I think he even says, like, the Fishman and tries to kill him.
Yeah, he does.
It's pretty
good.
funny. Wait, so when does he learn the Cool Khan thing?
Do they? No, they don't say Kukulkan when they're like doing their little chant.
He
The
says
chant
he
is, like,
learned it from
Kukulkan or
books.
something. Well, he learned about Kukulkan. Fuck. It is a real Mayan god.
Right.
That we have some evidence for, and you could read about on Wikipedia if you wanted. So he's saying, I know what Kukulkan is, like, in Mayan culture. I heard them call them that. That means they think he's a god.
Oh, okay.
Now,
So I
when
guess,
did he hear them call him that? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. Because, yeah, it is interesting that he's the first guy to actually try to kill Namor. And then later he's like, Shuri, we can't kill Namor. That would be bad for us. It's like, all right, well, tell fucking M'Baku that 20 minutes ago.
Tell M'Baku the first time we had a meeting about this, and he was like, we should go kill him.
Yeah.
Seriously.
You know what?
fair,
Yeah,
the
that's
movie
probably
does
when he
point
found out the Cool Khan thing, during that meeting. Because he says that to Ramonda during, like, Namor tells Ramonda all his names. She probably tells it to everybody at the meeting that he's at. So, yeah, M'Baku. Seems like you just really want to kill him and you don't want anybody else to get to do it. Real nice.
Yeah, he's just like, it goes against our ancient Wakandan traditions to kill Steel.
Yeah. He is, I'd say he's the character that I was like, we could do with a little bit more of him and a little bit less of some of these other guys. Like,
yeah, it really felt like his role in this movie was just them going, oh, people liked M'Baku in the first movie. Let's sprinkle a little M'Baku in some of these scenes. Just so people remember that they like him. Instead of
They're not wrong.
doing the first movie thing, which is where he's his own character with his own kind of arc, and is played by a very charismatic and charming actor. And all of that combined makes him a really cool and interesting character that we like seeing.
yeah. Because it's not even like, and I had to look this up, because what's his name is also not in it. What's his name?
Daniel Kaluuya?
Daniel Kaluuya, yeah. But him, it seems like it is because he was just busy. He couldn't be in it.
Yeah, he was busy.
So they kind of
filming,
wrote him
though.
out.
But also, I
Yeah.
mean, he was Okoye's husband, who
Right.
fully sided with Killmonger. So, like, he's in jail is a perfectly reasonable explanation.
Sure,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. But it did.
They're all in jail.
It did feel to me like maybe Winston Duke was also too busy to do this. Like, so they could only get him for a couple of things, or like, you know, there were some characters that were characters. Shuri, Ramonda, Ironheart, I guess. And they were like in the movie whenever he wanted them. And everybody else was just around when they could be, kind of. Like Okoye was like, she's busy filming this other thing. So we got an Okoye scene in the beginning, Okoye scene in the end. And then that's it. But yeah, he's not, he doesn't have too much. I didn't see Spencer Confidential, but there's that, I guess. But I'm surprised there's not more on his schedule, honestly. He's fun in these, and also, like, he's one of those characters that we were kind of like, is he Black Panther in the interim between the snap and the blip and stuff? Because he's one of the only ones that survived from Wakanda.
Why would that be the case, though?
Because when they're like gonna go fight the aliens, him and T'Challa are like right up there in the front, and it's like, you came and helped us. It's like, if someone needed to take over and it's not Shuri, I feel like he's second in line almost.
Interesting.
Or Ramonda, I guess, but I don't know if she survived or not. But we know he survives. We see him not fade away.
Is the end of the movie implying that he's going to be king?
That's on the wheel. We'll get to it.
I was trying to...
Okay, sorry.
Wondering.
Speaking of the wheel, I mean, and it's a wheel, so we're spinning it. It could come up whatever, but it'll probably be last.
True.
I spun the wheel again. It landed on one of mine. Iron Man suits, but worse. Let's talk about all the Iron Man suits in this movie. There's two different kinds of them at the same time, and it's really dumb to me that we had them. Are you guys familiar with the Midnight Angels or whatever they're called? Is that what they're called?
No.
Was not familiar with them until this movie.
Maybe it's not Midnight. No, it is. Yeah. It's a thing that I think had been in the comics for a while, but they kind of made it a new, like, almost like extra thing of the Dora Milaje, specifically the character that Anika, I think is her name, the one played by Michaela Cole in this, has a suit in the comics that's kind of like that, and it's like the special one.
Okay.
So when I saw that, I was like, they're not doing that, though. That's not... We already have an Iron Man in this movie. We don't need to.
But what
Little
if,
did
though?
I know.
But what if we had 3?
So many Iron Mans.
It just feels like if you're a super genius in the MCU, what you do is you make an Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't you?
Honestly, it's why aren't there more?
You would do it if you had the opportunity, Diggins. If you had that genius, you would have an Iron Man suit.
I'd make an Iron Man suit to sell to someone else, maybe. I don't want to go around doing Iron Man stuff. I want to retire.
Fair.
Well, it's like with this, Shuri builds it in the beginning of the movie, or like mostly builds it, and Okoye is like, I don't like it. It's ugly. I don't want to wear it. Okay, you don't have to. Does anybody? We have Iron Man suits. Do we not have some member of the military that wants to be the Iron Man of the military?
Or a person.
Or
it
just some
feels
guy.
like
Yeah,
you
whoever.
could throw a civilian in there and it's fine.
Yeah.
That's what Iron Man is. Tony Stark didn't have military training.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah, just throw it on fucking, I don't know. I don't know the names of any other characters in this, but one of them. And then that guy can be really helpful if, say, I don't know, a flying dude ever comes and tries to kill everybody in Wakanda. You know? It'd be handy. But
Also,
no.
that whole thing, it felt like at the beginning they were setting up a whole like tradition versus modernity thing
Yeah.
as like a theme of the movie, and then that doesn't really go anywhere.
Nah.
It's fine.
Whatever.
It's just part of the larger thing I said at the beginning, where this movie feels a little more unfocused and less sharp than the first one.
Yeah. I also think the Midnight Angel suits, and this might just be me, look kind of dumb. I agree with Okoye that they look kind of dopey.
I don't love them.
I don't think they're like hideous, but they're not great.
Someone described them as, I think I saw this online. Someone said they look like standing up Pokemon, some 2-legged Pokemon, because of the eyes and the face. And I see it.
That is funny.
Yeah. But yeah, it just felt very, it feels like there's another script where these guys are part of it. Like there's some stuff going on with Anika and the Midnight Angel suits and whatever. They really do just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
It's a little weird. Spun the wheel again. This is my big question at the end of the movie.
Okay.
Not the end of the movie, but about the end of the movie. And it's a question I would pose to Shuri, I guess, but it could, it's just general. Why not make everyone Black Panther? I don't understand why at the end of this movie they print the heart-shaped herb and we still only give it to one person.
Syndrome.
Culture. Power dynamic.
Well, like, I feel like the beginning of this movie is like, oh, Black Panther. And this is kind of, I guess, maybe how I was seeing this play out was this like they lost their single protector. That was a problem. Having one protector is a problem. We keep coming up with these different characters with like Okoye, where it's like, where's she going to fit into the, big picture of this? Where's Nakia going to fit into this? Where's M'Baku? And it's like, just give them all Black Panther things. That'd be pretty cool. But nobody else gets them. I didn't care for that.
And, it would be an interesting thing to do, considering that all of the Tolokani took the herb, or are descended from people who took the herb. So it's like, yes, what we have learned from them is that we should share this gift with everybody.
Right.
In our country. I don't know. I mean, that's not exactly thematically where the movie goes, but I can see you doing something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just, it does continue to baffle me. I guess partially because instead of that, some of them get Iron Man suits and some of them just don't. They're just like on the ship, just fucking fighting usual style. And it's like, I don't think this is a winning strategy without Iron Man suits for like Nakia and stuff. So might as well not come. It's like,
just don't bother.
Stay home. Yeah.
If
this goes great, the Iron Man's going to kill them all. If this doesn't go great, you're all dead. The Iron Mans can fly, so they'll probably survive. But like, we don't want you to die. And she has her like little, I don't know what those are called. You know what those are called?
No.
Like weapons she uses twice in all of these movies. The rings.
The discs.
Boomerang disc ring things, yeah. But
the ones that if you threw them, they're gone forever. They never come back.
Well, yeah, and then it's another thing where it's like Shuri has her little gauntlets built into her Iron Man suit because it is just like, that's the Shuri thing. Give those to everybody at least. Can anybody else have those? What happened to the spears that shoot lasers? That was in the last one.
Yeah, right. Also, yeah.
To be fair, I mean, we did litigate all this in the Iron Man movies, where we had a big Senate panel where a bunch of people were like, don't you think it's bad if a single private individual controls these incredibly dangerous weapons and can use them capriciously however he wants. And the movie goes, no. And then we never think about it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, hey, man, chill out.
How did you guys feel about Shuri becoming the new Black Panther?
I mean, I was so certain that's what was going to happen that I was not even a little surprised.
Yeah, same.
What did you think of the Killmonger thing? We didn't really talk about.
That was good.
That was interesting.
I like that.
I like
that was a
lot.
good scene.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, he's cool.
He is cool.
And what if he was Black Panther, right? What happened there?
Oh.
Is that guy dead?
Michael B. Jordan?
No, that character in What If. Could he come back in the next one of these from another dimension as the Black Panther from What If?
That's a good question.
I cannot remember what happens to that guy, though. He tries to steal the gems or something. It's like he becomes the bad guy at the end.
Yeah.
Because it's, they're just kind of rushing to some conclusion. But, yeah, I don't remember.
That's a good question, though.
If he can escape from What If jail.
Oh, man. Is Killmonger the Saw Gerrera of Marvel?
The best character? Maybe.
The really great character who, when he's in things the way he's written well, you're like, super interesting, and it's like, wow, he's raising some good points, but I don't know about everything that he's doing. And when he's written poorly, it's like, I'm the guy who goes too far.
Yeah, that's actually probably pretty close. I'd say Namor probably also fits that bill. There's a lot of those guys in Marvel, actually. Thanos on that level.
Yeah, except most of them are only written badly. Killmonger has the distinction of having been written well.
Thanos is good sometimes. Whoops, I hit my mic.
Sometimes.
I spun the wheel again. It landed on one of DJ's. This is just the siege. Let's talk about Shuri's plan.
Yeah, so, oh gosh, this was like really tough. Like, so we're gonna go out into the middle of the ocean, right? And we're gonna just have a vibranium machine and be like, yeah, this vibranium machine, it's gonna be a real problem for the Talokan. So it's like, all right, we'll get them out there and we'll just get all of them out there. And then we're going to fight on a small, machine we built in the middle of the water. Feels like we're at a severe disadvantage, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Especially since Namor was like, I'm coming back to fight you guys later. So you didn't need to coax him out. He was going to come to you in Wakanda, where you are already.
Yeah.
I guess they didn't want him to destroy the whole city, but I feel like there's got to be some middle ground between that and fighting him in the only place where he has this extreme advantage over you.
They're so good there.
Yeah.
They're so good there.
At this
they have
point,
whales.
You know how he gets to the city. It's not like he has another option. It has to be the river, because all his guys will die if he tries to do an overland march or something.
Yeah.
So, you could set a trap along the river, probably.
But no. We're going to go to his turn.
You got to go to there.
The ocean.
But then they have a plan. It's Okoye and those guys. Well, they get Iron Man suits. But they don't count. The Dora Milaje are all going to get ropes. And then the mountain tribe guys are going to hold them. Jabari. Yeah. They're going to hold the ropes. And then our guys are going to fight the Talakanis as they're trying to climb aboard this ship. That seems like a pretty flimsy plan.
Well, also,
it's crazy.
They have
it's
this
crazy.
sonic disruptor that makes the Tolokani feel bad, except when it doesn't.
Yeah, and it seems like that's a pretty good plan. That part of a plan is pretty good. Bring 2 or 3. Have a backup just in case. Okay.
Make more of the Hell's Angels or whatever.
Yeah, the Midnight Angels.
More of those.
More than 2? Nah. That'd be silly.
Hey, I want to go way back for a second because I just thought of an extremely tiny nitpick.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
In that first council scene where M'Baku's like, we should kill the fish man, he's eating something.
Yes. A carrot.
What is it? Is it a carrot?
I think so.
I couldn't figure out what it was because it was like...
I think it's a carrot.
It looked like a really stiff Slim Jim.
Was it not a real carrot? Was it like a shitty prop carrot?
Maybe.
Was
Maybe
that
just
the
a big
problem?
piece of licorice or something.
I'll
We'll make it a
believe you that it
carrot
was
in
a
post.
carrot.
We'll decide what vegetable it is later.
I believe
just
it was
eat
a
it like
carrot
you're eating a
because in the
vegetable.
first movie he said they're vegetarians.
That's true.
But I was looking at that thing. I was like, I don't know what the hell this is.
I don't know. I do think it is a carrot, though.
Okay.
Sounds right.
Thank you for solving this mystery for me. The movie's now a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. So, I feel like, the plan to kill Namor, I think, is good. I think that's a solid plan. You get him, you douse him with, microwaves or whatever, heat him up real good, and then throw him in the desert and beat the shit out of him. 1-on-1, I guess. But,
yeah, that's a fine plan.
Yeah.
It's the how we get there is crazy.
It is crazy.
How many Wakandans were thrown into the meat grinder of this plan to make it happen?
Well, right. And even if they win the fight against Namor, there's no winning strategy for the ship team. Like,
right? As we see at the end, except they have someone in an Iron Man suit that they don't know how an Iron Man suit works. Well,
yeah.
Fly, you dummy.
Here's the thing. It seems like they did have a plan for what to do. It's just that plan was awful. Because when she catches Namor, they're like, all right, we did it. Time to roll out. And the ship just starts slowly moving away. Because it's like a giant ironclad. It's not like a sleek ship.
Yeah.
And it just starts slowly going back to shore. But then the Tolokani stop the sonic thing and then blow a hole in the hull so that it can't move anymore. But even if it could keep moving, you're going like a mile an hour. Do you think you're going to outmaneuver them?
Yeah, I think they do. I mean, they had that one sonic cannon, so that'll probably do it. I don't know. That's pretty weird.
So silly.
Yeah. Can we take a teeny tiny break? I just want to run to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then I gotta probably wrap up within I'm sure we're almost
Yeah.
done, so yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. Last wheel chunk is a question, the one we were asking before. Is M'Baku king? The answer is yes.
Yeah. No, the
According
answer's
to
yes.
Winston Duke,
The
the
answer's
answer is yes,
yes.
he is the king.
According to who?
The actor.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so interesting.
It felt so weird. Like, why?
It wasn't executed well.
No, it was not.
Because Shuri doesn't want to be queen, but she'll be Black Panther, and then M'Baku gets to be king like he's always wanted.
Why?
I don't think M'Baku ever really cared about being Black Panther.
Why does Shuri not want to be queen? That never came up.
I don't, because she just has she doesn't believe their religion. Like, she doesn't buy into all this stuff. She's on her own self-finding journey. She doesn't want to be queen.
Yeah.
She never articulates that ever at any point.
I feel like her character her actions and her meh attitude kind of explains that, right?
And Ramonda,
she never really she's all about revenge still. I don't know.
Well, that's the problem with the end of the movie. Not problem, but the difficulty is Ramonda dies really late in the game. So there's no point where it's sure, you're queen now.
Yeah.
And she gets to kind of go, well, I don't want to, maybe I do. And by the time she's dead, I don't think Shuri even gets sworn in. I think she's just kind of interim queen, and she goes straight to Black Panther, and then they go straight to big fight. And everybody's like, you're the queen, you're in charge. But it's not, they're doing at the end. She never did the little, the big ceremony fight thing. So.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like that was part of her journey in this movie, is not wanting the responsibility or struggling with it in any way. She had her own thing going on with her grief, but that wasn't really connected with the idea of being queen or anything. It just felt like such a weird turn, because there's just no part of the movie that implied to me that was even a thing she was thinking about.
I agree.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think that was there? Hey, maybe Letitia Wright won't be in the rest of these forever. We should kind of diversify our cast so it's different people are doing different things in case someone, I don't know, decides to really dive deep into some hobby of theirs or whatever it is. I don't know.
They know what's going on.
Do you think the next movie is going to be it turns out M'Baku's Scar? He really wanted to be king, but he's really bad at it. And he just drives Wakanda into the ground, and then baby T'Challa comes after Quantumania or whatever has aged him up, and he's like, I will be king now. And M'Baku's like, okay, I was bad at it.
That is probably what we'll get. It's what we deserve. I don't know.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he's king now. And I mean, they do seed him wanting to be king, I guess, or he gets the respect of the elders and stuff. But yeah, besides that, it felt very strange. And multiple people I saw having conversations outside in the lobby were so what happened to M'Baku at the end? So nobody knows except for Winston Duke. It'd be funny if that's not what it was, and Winston Duke was I think if I do enough interviews, I could just will this into existence. I can make my character the main character for these.
Disney is so PR conscious that if I put this out there before they put out an answer, they'll just pretend that I'm right.
Yeah.
And I'll just be like, guys, you know what? I love vaccines. I just every week new vaccine into my arm. I just try them all out, sample them.
He holds a press conference I would just like everyone to know that my political opinions align exactly with the Disney corporations.
Yeah.
Vaccines are good. Unions are bad. There should be less regulation of our industry, but that you should say out loud that gay people are cool.
He needs to get that publicist that Chris Pratt hired last year. So go like, all the things you don't like about Chris Pratt are not true, and all the things you do like about him are true. That's what Winston Duke is, except he might just actually be that. I don't really know too much about him outside of that he's in these and the Us stuff. He seems fine. Like, he seems cool.
Yeah. I mean, he was good in both of those movies.
Yeah.
I'd watch him in more things.
You watch Spencer Confidential? Him and Mark Wahlberg?
Let's not go crazy.
Fathers 2 too, maybe. Maybe
Hey.
they're friends.
Father 2.
Fathers 2, yes. I don't know. That's
Let's
it,
go,
though.
baby.
Those are all the things of this movie. What do we think overall? It's interesting.
Oh my goodness!
What did it do for the greater good?
I liked it, but room
Did
for
it do for the
improvement.
greater good?
What does it?
It gave
So,
us
yeah.
Namor. Pretty good.
That was good. That's a plus for sure.
Also, it's the end of Phase 4 because something had to be, I guess. So it's this. You guys love Phase 4, right?
Wait, this is the end of Phase 4?
I mean, this is the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special thing. Nobody's quite sure.
I didn't know Phase
If that
4 was
even counts.
over or was ending because nothing
It's
happened.
over. It always
Did you not look at
sneaks
the
right
roadmap,
up on
Diggins?
you.
Come
know?
on.
Come on, yeah.
There's a whole map.
And only the most recent one, obviously, the one that counts. Every one of these, there's a slightly different map, and now this is on there. You know what the end of the next one is?
I don't.
Black Panther 3 Thunderbolts, which I assume is just Black Panther 3, because it's got the Thunderbolts in it, and she's in this. So.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. House of Harkness, Daredevil, Thunderbolts, the big three. You guys, yeah, let's do a classic segment. You guys want to
Oh my God, I love
recommend
classic
anything?
I
segment.
love it.
DJ, do you have anything to recommend to the fine people? I mean, it's been so long. I feel like we probably all have a bunch of recommendations.
Yeah, I'll probably spread them out because, like, I just like the flexibility of my recommendations. So, like, I'm not going to burn them all now, but I am going to recommend fucking God of War because it's great. I hope you weren't going to recommend it, Nando.
I mean, it was one of my 50 recommendations, so yeah, you're welcome to
I guess
recommend it.
I guess I saved you one. Yeah, no, it's awesome. I love it so much. I like it improves a lot on what was in the first one. It's the story has so much heart, and it also has like a lot of humor about it that you don't always like get in these things. But yeah, it's like I think there's this nice blend of how like the game kind of gently guides you to where you need to go without being overbearing. I've like read some things online that's like, oh, it feels like it's too much, blah, blah, blah. I'm an adult. And I get it. But like, I think it's a gentle balance. So I've like really been enjoying myself playing the game. Kratos is great. What's really cool is like seeing the different dynamic between like Kratos and Atreus in the first game versus this game, and how like even in like a video game like this, there's like character growth and development. It's like I think I saw like I don't know, like something on Twitter where it's like I ran out of things to watch, so I just watched like 18 hours of the God of War story on YouTube, and I'm like, yeah, that totally makes sense. You could just watch this as a movie and it would totally work. So yeah, I'm like really enjoying it, and think if you are one of the 7 people in America with a PS5 that you should totally get it.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a good amount of like, I do think one of the things that I was not like surprised by, because I have this but I haven't played the first one, is that I feel like the different worlds have like different vibes. I like that. I imagine this wasn't a big part of the Greece one, but like, you know, the different realms are all their own thing, so that's cool.
Yeah. It's freaking awesome. So
I do think all the accents are adorable. How like
it's all over the place.
They didn't tell anybody to try to do a Norse accent. They were just like, do whatever you already do.
The bad UN man is just Odin.
Yeah.
Just he is Odin.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Just Richard Schiff talking like Richard Schiff.
Yes,
he's Odin.
It really is
Incredible.
like that. It's so weird. Watch a video, like a clip from the first time he shows up in the game, and it's like, yeah, it's pretty cool though.
Yeah, it is pretty wild.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
But yeah, very much enjoying it.
Diggins, do you have anything to recommend to the fine people?
Yeah, unlike TJ, I am going to burn all my recs, so I'm going to go through this quickly. Let's see. I watched a bunch of movies, first of all. I watched Triangle of Sadness, which is a movie about basically a bunch of rich people on a yacht that ends up crashing, and a few of them wash up on a deserted island. That is like an extremely stripped down summary of this movie, because there's a lot going on. That doesn't even happen until like 2/3 of the way through the movie, even though it's the main premise. It is a really good like social satire. It's very funny. The thing that happens at like the midpoint of the movie is completely outrageous. I don't even want to even vaguely spoil it, but it's completely ridiculous and really fun. And then I'd say at first it seems like it's just going to be like rich people are out of touch and you know, like they don't even realize how narcissistic they are. And it's like, yes, a lot of the movie is that. But by the third act, they really bring it to an interesting twist that feels like it's more about the structures and like the structures and models of society that perpetuate these attitudes more than it is about the individual people. And I think it's really good. I liked it a lot. I also watched Weird, the Al Yankovic story. Extremely funny. Pretty much what I wanted. The walk hard for our age.
For our age? How old does Walk Hard? 15 years ago, maybe? That classic black and white silent movie, Walk Hard, Dewey Cox story.
But my point is, it's like a really on point parody of musical biopics and how like ridiculous and just how so cookie cutter they are. How there's always these same set of beats that happen in every single one of them. It does a really good job of parodying that. Starting vaguely, like extremely vaguely with the facts of Weird Al's life before veering off into total nonsense.
Yeah.
Love me some total nonsense.
The nonsense part for me is, because I saw it too, I think about halfway through it goes full nonsense, and that's where it really became something I was interested in. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I think that is definitely like where the movie really takes off. But another thing I would just want to highlight real quick, Daniel Radcliffe is doing an actually good biopic performance instead of nominated for an Oscar biopic performance.
Oh, no.
He's not...
Nice.
He's not just doing a big impression of the person and wearing big fake teeth or putting on sunglasses and jerking his head around all crazy, but he's actually just like performing as a character who is informed by the real life persona of Weird Al. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Like, it doesn't feel like a Weird Al impression. It feels like he is playing a character. Anyway, I also watched Decision to Leave, the new movie by Park Chan-wook, the director of Old Boy and The Handmaiden and the Vengeance trilogy, of which Old Boy is one of them. This is maybe his most subdued movie, which is not to say that it's super subdued. It's just not as wild as Old Boy or The Handmaiden, but it's kind of like a romance film noir murder mystery about this detective who suspects a woman of having killed her much older husband, but also is kind of like drawn to her. And then it really goes in some very interesting directions from there. I mean, that's a very classic kind of noirish premise, but I think where they take it is actually a very modern twist on that format that I think ends up really hitting. So I really like that. It's one of those movies where I feel like I could watch it again now after having seen all of it and like notice a million things. But yeah, that's great. And then finally, I have a video game to rec called...
Oh!
What?
God of War.
No, sadly, I am still pissless.
I picked mine up last week. They was actually pretty easy to get them. So,
well, they also cost a lot
you
of
get lucky.
money, is the thing.
That too, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, steal one. There's no consequence.
I'm not against it.
That's true.
But no, I played well, technically it's an Xbox game, but it's also on PC because of Microsoft. It's called Pentiment. It is the new game by Obsidian, the studio that made New Vegas and Pillars of Eternity. It is a 2D animated adventure game murder mystery kind of thing, but the animation style, it's set in 1500s Bavaria, and the animation style is everything looks like a medieval manuscript or a Renaissance woodblock drawing, just very much like it looks like art of the period, which is really cool. And it even extends to, like, character dialogue is written in ways that conform to who they are. Like, a monastery is a big setting, and all the, like, religious people who live at the monastery speak in illuminated script, like the really fancy script you'd see in the manuscripts that monks would make, whereas peasants have a scratchier, just kind of like simplified style, and more educated people have a more refined style. And there's like a guy who runs a printing press because that's a new thing that exists now, and his words are actually just like stamped on all at once, like a press. it's really cool, full of details like that. They did tons of research. There's like little footnotes that show up in dialogue if you want to know what the imperial diet of Emperor Maximilian I was, or if you're curious about St. Thomas Aquinas's writings on theology. It'll explain a little bit about that. And it's just super engrossing for a big old nerd like me. But it's also just a good like murder mystery and is well written. So yeah, that is an incredible game that I'm having a ton of fun with. It literally just came out yesterday from when we're recording. So highly recommend that.
Nice.
Those are all of my recs. Nando, what about you?
Okay, and I've got a couple, so I'm going to speed through. Also God of War, enjoying. It's not like I like the atmosphere is very fun. The gameplay, it's fine. I was kind of expecting more of a Devil May Cry thing, honestly. The amount of like
really.
Just because that's kind of how I've never played a God of War game before, but I feel like that's how I always assumed they worked. Was just you're flipping around and doing lots of crazy kicks and combos and stuff, and that really isn't it.
More the PS2 ones are a little like that. These new ones are not.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah, I would say and just based off the first one, and I think this one's going to build in a similar way, but it's like you kind of find like a specific combo playstyle that works for you. But yeah, I do think it's more subdued than a Devil May Cry.
Oh, for sure.
Not hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
In the latest Devil May Cry, one of your weapons is a big motorcycle that shoots lightning bolts.
Dedoy.
It's pretty cool.
It should be the coolest of the things.
Yeah. Well, I like that so far, so I've been enjoying it. I've got on order. I'm getting Returnal, which I've been told is the best PS5 game. So we'll see about that. I'm looking forward to it, but I don't know too much about it. Movies. Okay, so I also... Well, you know what? Let's do TV shows. I watched Love is Blind. I sped through that after DJ was talking about it.
Yeah, baby!
And I think it's pretty great. And it's just insane. These people are weirdos, and they should be a little less weird to, but it's that they can't help it, It's bizarre. There's some things that happened in the end where I had to be like, not like convinced, but I was just like, that didn't happen though. It's wild. So I would definitely recommend it. I've also watched the show Reboot, which I don't know if any of you guys have seen. It's on Hulu. It's like a show about rebooting a show. It's like a comedy.
Yeah. I've heard of this. I heard it's good.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think it's fun. It's something that kind of will turn on just, while I'm having dinner, just enjoy an episode. It's funny because it's like any ABC sitcom where they just make little jokes, but they say, fuck every so often, and it really takes me off guard because I'm like, that's not what the show like this is, but that one is, so great. Movies. I also watch Weird. I think, like I was saying there, I like the stuff after Eat It, way more than I like the stuff before. I also do not know enough about the comedy scene in the 1980s to really appreciate. I didn't even know Dr. Demento was a real guy. I went and Googled him. It's a whole guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You didn't know that?
Nah, never heard of him.
Yeah, he was a big part of how Weird Al got famous.
Oh, for sure. I watched
radio tapes, baby.
Yeah. I mean, like, I watched a clip of him talking with Johnny on The Tonight Show or David Letterman or something like that. It was like, it's pretty close. It's a good, like a good fake version of that guy. But anyway, so I thought that was... I enjoyed the movie, but like I said, I wish it was more of the kind of... Because in the beginning, it is like just like a silly biopic. And the back half, it's kind of like... There's an old Chappelle Show sketch where it's like Antoine Fisher is his own biopic of... Like, that's what that is. But if I wrote my own biopic, it would be different. And it would be just in how insane and cool I am. I enjoyed that aspect of it more. Anyway, I also watched... One day I woke up early and I was like, I don't want to get out of bed, but I do want to do something. So I watched Don't Worry, Darling on my phone. It's not a good movie.
Yeah.
It's cool looking.
Is it because it was on your phone?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why. That's its main problem. I didn't hate it. And I think, like I said, aesthetically it's interesting. I still don't quite know what they were going for with Harry Styles' accent, because in universe it kind of is explained, but it's not. But in the end, they explain what happens, and it doesn't make any sense, and it makes the whole movie worse. I've heard stories that this was kind of a Village-esque movie before the ending was changed to something less good, where it was just like this crazy 50s community taking place, in like a compound in Arizona in present day that nobody knew about. I feel like I can see that movie working. But like Florence Pugh is good. Chris Pine is good. Everybody is good. Anyway, I liked it. Except for all the dumb nonsense at the end, which is what the end was. So it was like, I don't know. I also watched The Northman the other day because we were like, what's a good movie that we haven't seen? And we watched The Northman. And I think it's interesting, but I don't like the main character at all. So I had a hard time really digging into his trials and tribulations and stuff. But just visually, it's very cool. I assume, Diggins, you've seen that, right?
Yeah, I wrecked it way back when it was in theaters.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
So, like, it's worth a watch. It is long, and, it's weird in the way that a Robert Eggers movie is weird. But, I think it's kind of cool. It's got some very cool fight scenes. And, like, if you play God of War and you're like, I want to hear more about these gods and stuff, it's a good place to go. Last movie I watched this week, or last week or whatever, a movie called Rosalind. Any of you guys seen this?
No, this one I'm not familiar with.
No.
So it's new. It's on like maybe Hulu or something. I don't know. And it's the girl. It's Caitlin Dever from Booksmart. And it's like...
what else is she from, Nando?
Dope Sick.
What?
She's in Dope Sick, right?
Dopes.
What else is she in?
Isn't she... No, now I feel like I may have... No, I was right. She's in Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh, I guess she is. I never saw it. But she's good. Anyway, I like her. This movie is a fake, like, rom-com, like, kind of movie set in the Romeo and Juliet story from the perspective of Rosalind, where Romeo dated her, and then he moved on to her cousin, and she's upset about that. But it's cute, and, like, it's funny. It's a very funny little movie. And it kind of has that God of War, like, Death of Stalin thing, where it's just a period piece where everyone talks and acts like normal, like, present-day people, so it's got that going for it. But yeah, I don't know. I had a really good time with it. It's nice short little 90 minutes. Like, the love stuff doesn't always work because, I don't know, her boyfriend isn't anything that great in this movie. But I do think just the physical comedy and how silly it is to see them talk and act like normal people. It's great. So love that. Movies, God of War. Oh, and the other thing, I read a bunch of Spider-Woman comics the other day because I was just curious. I'd never read them. And there's a run, I think it's by Dan Slott, and it's pretty cool. I'm surprised they haven't done anything with that character yet, although I do think Olivia Wilde was going to make a Spider-Woman movie, and now that's kind of up in the air because it's Sony, and the whole franchise is constantly on the verge of collapse. But
also, they're really upset
it is.
For her because of Harry Styles and all that.
Right, yeah, and there's that scuttled it too, although
Sudeikis stands at Sony.
I can't imagine the movie was in great shape before that because it is just, because of how this universe works. But I read this story. I read a book. Oh, it's Bendis. It was Bendis. And it's her post, like being impersonated by a squirrel, coming back and trying to, like, I don't know, get her shit together. It's a fun book. I liked it. Very, very, very cool painted art by Alex Maslev, which is like at the end of the 7th book, it's like, this isn't a really good place for the story to end, right? Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, it's because we didn't want to keep drawing it because it was too hard. He did such a good job, but it took his whole life, so we can't do the book anymore. But, just appreciate that. And I do. I think that's great. So, cool book. That's all I got. Next week, what are we doing?
Great.
We weren't
question,
sure. We threw out a few suggestions. There was Talk of Willow.
Talk of Willow. That show comes out soon. There was Santa Claus, because that show is out now, apparently.
Oh, boy. There were some rumors, some scuttlebutt that we might do the first Avatar.
Yeah. I think we'll have to get to that eventually. When does the next one come out?
Next Avatar?
Yeah, like, is it end of December or beginning of December?
I feel like it's closer. It's like closer to end.
16th, okay. Yes, we've got a month. I don't think we need to rush that one. But, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe some Johnny Stacchino?
Oh, yeah, right. Our new movie, which that was when my connection died, so I haven't even watched that trailer yet. But it looks weird.
Oh, do it. It's a treat.
Maybe I'll save it. I'll you know what? I'll go in blind. But, yeah, you guys could tweet us. Let us know what you want us to talk about.
As always.
But, yeah. Those are some of the ones that are in contention. DJ, do you have anything to plug?
Roses and Rejections, we go over Bachelor in Paradise, which is bad, and Love is Blind Season 3, which is interesting.
Insane.
They only get better, in my opinion, but yeah, that's where we're at.
Diggins, what about you? Anything to plug?
Yeah, I mean, I have my usuals, my newsletter, a littleperspective.substack.com. I stream sometimes at twitch.tv/thisisanOddName. Also, this past Monday, no, it was yesterday, Tuesday, the 15th, I had a second story published from under Ballads of the Distant Reaches. So you can read my story, Black Powder Bind, which is a kind of part training montage, part war story, part romance, set in this world. If you read my other story there, Pay the Blood Price, same universe, that's the whole premise of this thing. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this story turned out, so you should totally go there, check it out, read it, maybe subscribe to the newsletter, maybe, who can say. But if you want to read that, you can go to distantreaches.com. It should be the first one there.
Cool.
What about you, Nando?
For me, I have videos. They're not out yet. Like, I have a video that's coming out probably pretty soon on the channel about the Great Lake Avengers. I did put together a video on, this is something that I had tweeted the other day, but just like why I think Namor works where Black Adam doesn't, because the characters are so similar. That'll probably be out soon too. I'm not sure when I'll put that out. So keep an eye on my Nando V Movies channel for that. And that's pretty much all I got. So until next week, I've been at Nando V Movies on Twitter.
I'm at Zippy by Day.
At This Is an Odd Name.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Peace.
Bye, we love you.